Clearing her throat, Tin Hoa explains that an even stronger clan might be backing the Tuyet Lin city-state, or maybe her own mental strength is just too weak to find a way out. Zhu Minglang gently pats her shoulder to reassure her, do not worry, even prophecies can change over time. Everyone they both care about will absolutely make it out of this alive and well. He explains that leaving Longmon brought unexpected chaos, and North Tuyet Lin now far outclasses any other power on the continent. They definitely hold secrets that they do not know yet, so they have to make a move to prepare. Hearing this, she softly asks if she can help him. He raises an eyebrow and asks, do you happen to know where any mythical creatures are hiding? Tin Hoa hesitates before looking up, remembering that there is a mythical creature nearby. Right at the very peak of the Tuyet Lin Mountains, the thunder-attracting divine tree awaits. This news leaves Zhu Minglang stunned. Resting his chin on his hand, he calculates that the lightning attribute might not suit the Kangluan Blue Saint Dragon, but it is still worth checking out. Now check this out. Elsewhere, the thunderous rumble of carriage wheels tearing across the dirt creates a massive racket. Clenching her fists, Li Yunzi quietly notes that even the Marquis Wuhu joined the campaign. Since it is an imperial order, Li Yunzi must give it everything she has. The man beside her humbly replies, State Teacher Li is far too kind. This old man is only along for the ride to see the world. This man is none other than Marquis Wuhu of the Muzong Imperial Dynasty. Zhu Minglang steals a glance, guessing the Marquis is here to oversee the troops. It seems this grand campaign is directly tied to the rule over Li Chuan. His wife really has it rough. Suddenly, he gasps in sheer amazement. Whose army is this? Their gear is insanely good. They must be absolutely loaded. Turning to him, she softly explains, young master, that man over there is Elder Khan Lam from the Zhu men. Recognizing his face, Zhu Minglang gets super excited. Holy crap, is old Khan actually one of our guys? But right in the very next second, he is crying on the inside. How can their family guards be so heavily geared? It clearly cost a fortune, yet the sole young master has to live such a broke life. It is honestly heartbreaking. Khan Lam chuckles, and brings up the topic, young master, about those 6 million taels of gold you withdrew from us the other day. Zhu Minglang immediately cuts him off. Elder, you should go ask Zhu Tianguan for that. The elder nods awkwardly, agreeing there is no rush, before suddenly asking a burning question. Word is that the master of the Jiaoshan sword sect has a major conflict with Li Chuan's female lord because of you. Do you have a plan? This question makes him break out in a cold sweat. Is there really nothing else to talk about? Grumbling internally, he leaps down from the carriage and snaps back. I have my own ways of handling this matter. Elder Khan Lam does not need to worry. He cannot help but curse in his head, this old man is such a gossip. I should probably go hang out at the Jiaoshan sword sect instead. Just then, Duotruk spots him from afar. She runs over excitedly, throwing herself right into his arms and screaming out, Senior brother! He frantically warns her to calm down. Duotruk, there are way too many people watching. But she completely ignores him, clinging tightly to his arm, saying she does not care since it has been forever. Right in the middle of this awkward scene, a sharp, angry cough suddenly breaks the tension. Frowning in absolute disapproval, he scolds her, Duotruk, as a disciple of the Jiaoshan sword sect. How can you act so shamelessly in public? This newcomer is Ye Yang, a swordmaster from the Jiaoshan sword sect. The moment Zhu Minglang spots him, he grins with amusement. Well, look who it is, eunuch Ye Yang. The man snaps back in a complete rage. What did you just call me? Seeing his furious reaction, Zhu Minglang raises his hands to defuse the situation. Easy now. Ye Yang, let it go. Two soldiers standing nearby whisper among themselves, why is the junior granduncle on such terrible terms with our swordmaster? The soldier next to him smirks and explains Brother Zhu has always lived in the abandoned Zonglin with Master Shui Lang. They are master and disciple, but also aunt and nephew, so their bond is incredibly tight. Meanwhile, Zhu Minglang stands aside, listening and frowning in confusion. Wait, is it true he got himself castrated after failing to win over Master? And are they really aunt and nephew? If that insane rumor is true, then this swordmaster is truly pathetic. He purses his lips, thinking that it is all because Zhu Shui Lang usually treats everyone like dirt anyway. Just because they got a little close, everyone starts raising wild suspicions, even though their relationship is completely innocent. Duotruk suddenly points, look, senior brother, there is even a flying dragon general, but he quickly clarifies with a serious face. That group handles clearing any path obstacles, repelling demonic beasts, and running reconnaissance. A moment later, the peaceful sky returns to its quiet state. By now, the entire group has settled down together. Li Yunzi steps up to share the plan, warning that the path ahead is brutal and a blizzard is hitting tonight, so they must ride on horseback. Zhu Minglang cannot help but softly praise his wife, muttering that she always thinks of absolutely everything. But right at this very moment, a massive scream echoes from afar, instantly grabbing their full attention. Preceptor Muktong rushes over to report the grim situation. Out of hundreds of dragon riders sent into the mountains, not a single soul made it back alive. Only broken armor and loose scales remain, leaving him completely stunned by the news. What? Li Yunzi asks, looking serious. With such heavy casualties, this mountain is no joke. We must leave immediately. Muktong immediately suggests a different strategy. Let the giant eagles handle scouting and clearing the path while the main army keeps marching forward normally. Just imagine the panic ripping through the entire crowd right now, until a sudden scream breaks the noise. This is bad. The scout frantically reports that thousands of eagles ahead have also vanished into thin air. Hearing this, Muktong turns completely pale. What? Everyone in the crowd starts losing their minds. What is going on? Rubbing his chin, Zhu Minglang wonders if it is an ambush or some bizarre creature. He quickly turns to Li Yunzi, asking if this feels way too strange to be normal. She explains, visibly tense. This could easily be the work of demons, but we cannot rule out interference from the people of Tuert Lin Alliance. Dirpdung steps forward with a plan, noting that hunting down demons is what their Jiaosan sword sect does best. Why not let me and my sword disciples investigate this forest? We will give everyone a clear answer before sunset. Li Yunzi hears this and nods. All right, she says, quickly mounting. She tells them she will follow closely to watch the path ahead. Zhu Minglang nods, warning her to stay safe. Once they arrive at the scene, Dirtruk gasps in complete horror. Literally hundreds of thousands of dragon beasts have been completely eaten clean. What kind of nightmare monster could do this? A young man nearby agrees. Exactly. Does such a creature even exist in this world? Another person suggests they keep moving forward to investigate further. Stunned by this bizarre sight, Zhu Minglang freezes in his tracks as a quiet thought crosses his mind. This landscape is just way too clean. Even if they were devoured, how is there not a single bone, a drop of blood, or a scrap of skin left behind? Thinking back to his past, he remembers asking his dragon, "Can you do this, Tian Shalong? Can you wipe them all out in an instant without leaving a trace?" The dragon flexed and let out a mighty roar, saying my Mindongvir can absolutely do it. But the dragon added that wiping out every trace is impossible, as the uncontrollable power would disintegrate the very mountains. Back in reality, Zhu Minglang scratches his head. A truly massive power source might actually be able to do this, but it would definitely cause an enormous commotion. He bites his lip, muttering that they must have missed something. Just then, Dirtruk spots something unusual and calls out senior brother. Look, there is a very deep crack over here. Zhu Minglang looks down in the direction she points, letting out a surprised gasp. Suddenly, he calls out, pointing at the back of her horse where something strange is clinging. Dirtruk hesitantly replies that they look like jewel flies. Frowning as he observes them, he notes that jewel flies biting livestock is just like mosquitoes biting humans, which is normally extremely common. But in these high mountains where the weather is freezing cold, how could they possibly survive at all? Dirtruk keeps staring straight ahead, her eyes completely wide with fear. But as Zhu Minglang is quietly calculating, she suddenly gasps in shock. She cries out in a panic, calling for her senior brother, and saying there is definitely something down there, like insect eggs. But hold on, right at that terrifying second, Dirtruk's horse screams in agony as she shrieks in fear what is happening. The horse bolts like a wild rocket, leaving the others unable to keep up. It is completely out of control. Zhu Minglang yells out, "This is bad, Dirtruk, get off that beast right now." Swarms of jewel flies gather on the horse, biting and tearing its flesh until blood flows. Gathering all her courage, Dirtruk stands up on the horse's back, preparing to jump. She leaps toward him, crying out for her senior brother to save her, just as both horses plunge over the steep cliff. After satisfying their hunger, the swarm of jewel flies begins to scatter. Dirtruk clings tightly to him, nervously asking if it was a demon. No. Zhu Minglang shakes his head, explaining that something flew right out of its body after chewing it up. The old man beside them suddenly blurts out, "It is a dragon. That was a Mang dragon." Zhu Minglang stares in utter disbelief. A dragon? How could a tiny insect be a dragon? The old man explains seriously, yes, they are the smallest dragons in existence. They wait to wake up inside a host's body and eat it completely from within. Zhu Minglang turns to the soldiers with an urgent warning they need to get out of here right now. Dirtruk stares down the cliff. There is a massive cluster of eggs inside that crevice. Must they be eaten to awaken? He asks, noting they never actively attack. No. Zai replies quietly, saying they only sleep when food is extremely scarce. Sometimes their sheer numbers can rival an entire army, and his face grows tense as he explains that this triggers all-out war. Sweat pours down Zhu Minglang's face. Suddenly, bizarre noises echo from the distance, making him instantly crouch down in alarm. What is that? Frowning at the bizarre sight, Zhu Minglang yells that there are too many Manlong. Drawing his precious Ninlong sword, he spins around and urgently screams at the soldier behind him to run and catch up with the army. These monsters only hesitate to strike when they see a massive crowd. A vibrant crimson energy gracefully wraps around the distant mountains, making a woman watching from afar wonder what those swordsmen are actually doing. Are they showing off sword-riding techniques? Hearing this, Dirpdung's face instantly darkens with pure irritation. Zhu Minglang abandons his horse and commands everyone to run back to the main army immediately. Diepdung frowns and scoffs that such a minor incident has thrown them into total chaos, adding that he wants to see what a useless weakling like Zhu Minglang is so afraid of. He quietly looks up at the sky, swarming with those creepy man-long. But the sword beneath his feet suddenly begins to violently tremble. Confused by the sudden vibration, Diepdung bites his lip and slowly draws his trembling sword. Are you guys seeing this pressure? It feels like 10,000 true dragons as the swarming man-long blot out the entire sky. The creatures relentlessly assault the soldiers, leaving them screaming in absolute agony. Frantic, Diepdung swings his sword wildly while cursing at the beasts to die. But his strikes do absolutely nothing to the swarming monsters. Finding a fatal opening in his defense, the creatures swarm over him and tear at his flesh, making him cough up fresh blood. Swearing to fight to the bitter end, he thrusts his sword forward and raises his hand to cast a desperate spell. Dear Truk suddenly screams for her uncle. But Diepdung frowns and tells her to run. Seeing her suddenly break away from his embrace to rush back, Zhu Minglang immediately screams out for her to stop. With teary eyes, Dear Truk tearfully explains that he is their master's brother, and they absolutely cannot afford to lose him. Before she can run any further, Zhu Minglang swiftly strikes her neck pressure point to knock her out, quietly whispering back to the older man that he will absolutely remember this debt. A short while later, once they finally reach safety, Li Yunzi gasps in realization that the Man Long are the reason the army lost half its livestock and cannot transport any of their supplies. Zhu Minglang cannot help but sigh, muttering that this journey is turning out to be incredibly dangerous. Nan Lingsha suddenly arrives in a rush, explaining that this seems to be the influence of the Tui Nuert wave, affecting more than just plants. Startled by her arrival, Zhu Minglang asks when she got here, while she warns that if the Man Long are mutating, the people of the Tuert Lirn Alliance might be in trouble. Now look up, the sky is turning pitch black as lightning violently rips through the clouds. Thick fog rolls in and obscures everything, making Zhu Minglang frown as he realizes that the heavenly lightning seed is appearing right over the Tuert Lirn Alliance. He calculates that if he can somehow obtain that heavenly lightning seed, Thon will definitely be able to evolve into a Dragon King. Li Yunzi then speaks in a low tone, noting that since they finally secured these supplies, they must strike quickly and launch a surprise attack before the enemy can even react. Moktong nervously looks around, wondering who will lead this special team, but before he can finish, Zhu Minglang steps up and asks his wife to let him go with Nan Lingsha. She gives a gentle nod and tells them to be extremely careful. Down in the Vanhar Valley, the soldiers are already lined up when a man suddenly warns the group that he hears footsteps approaching. Startled, Zhu Minglang asks if they are just hearing their own echoes, but the man shakes his head, explaining that the sound is definitely coming from straight ahead. Suddenly, a strange, mysterious mist begins to rise right in front of them. Two massive, muscular men slowly emerge from the thick fog, radiating an intense pressure that forces everyone to take a cautious step back. Someone in the crowd screams that these are the giant generals of the Tuert Lirn Alliance, while Zhu Minglang silently observes them to assess the situation. It seems the enemy also planned a detour to ambush them, and on this narrow path, only the stronger side will survive. He turns around and hesitantly asks Nan Lingsha to check if these giant generals possess any superhuman or extraordinary powers. Holding her rabbit, Vergia sighs from behind and reminds him that she is only a dragon tamer. She cannot tell them apart, leaving Zhu Minglang breaking into a cold sweat as he wonders why she suddenly became a dragon tamer now. Little auntie? This is seriously the worst timing ever, but I guess I just have to force myself forward. The moment Loi Hong looks down the cliffside, he suddenly flinches in shock. It is the Li Suyen faction. Kill them all. With that, he flicks a stone into the abyss with murder in his eyes. You Li Suyen rats, who is your leader? Step up and die first. This beast is Loi Hong Kerling. Wu Jia playfully chimed in, what a total madman. You better be careful because I am definitely not helping you. Zhu Minglang sneered, I am your brother-in-law here. There is no way I will let my little brother-in-law help me. With that, he summoned his dragon Great Heya. It let out a powerful roar, prepare to die. Check this out. Mo Shu gathers his raw energy and hurls a massive boulder right at them. He sneered that he did not fear any dragon lord and would kill this black worm first, but the attack did not even scratch Heya. The beast roared in contempt, keep scratching that itch. Then it lunged forward, pinning Mo Shu to the ground before unleashing a fatal blast of flames. Watching this, Zhu Minglang praised his partner with pride. Great work, Heya. With trembling arms, Mo Shu desperately pried the beast's claws off himself, flung the giant dragon away, and gritted his teeth, yelling for it to get the hell off him. Now, Heya lay slumped against the cliff in pain. Zhu Minglang was stunned, shocked that the enemy had enough raw strength to actually fling Great Heya aside. Stepping forward, he warily asked if the man was the commander of the elite assault team. Lei Hong grimaced in disgust, spitting back that a tiny weakling did not deserve to face their leader in person. He barked that he had no right to meet him, telling him to die. Zhu Minglang quickly sent Moshe flying forward with a smirk, asking if that was so. Moshe soared through the air, looped around, and stabbed straight into the opponent's back with deadly accuracy. The spirit sword strike heavily wounded Lei Hong, making him clutch his bleeding chest in agony. As the man collapsed, Zhu Minglang watched in deep thought. He never expected regular humans to possess this kind of power, wondering where their incredible strength and magical armor came from. Suddenly, a furious roar echoed from a distance. "Pay with your life for daring to murder my twin brother." A massive sword swing came next, but Zhu Minglang agilely dodged. "A quasi-king class, are you their leader?" The enemy proudly gestured to himself, introducing himself as Vice General Mo Shu, the Great Ridge General. Zhu Minglang chuckled mockingly upon hearing this, asking if he was just a mere vice general. He added that the guy still was not worthy of his effort. Behind him, Kang Lin broke into a cold sweat, muttering that his old bones could not handle this level of violence. Still, the elder stepped forward. His 3 subordinates immediately channeled their energy to protect their young master. Kang Lin then summoned his superior blue-silver dragon, soaring majestically together into the sky. But with a single reach of his hand, Mo Shu managed to seize the twin blue-silver dragons, instantly choking them unconscious. We can practically see Zhu Minglang gaping in shock as he realizes they are completely outmatched. His subordinate yelled a warning. He warned that this beast was at the King realm. Hearing this, Zhu Minglang just facepalmed, telling everyone to step back behind him while he smiled wryly. He wondered if the Zhu sect spent all their money on gear, without leaving enough to hire even a single competent fighter. Kang Lin looked at him, hesitating to speak. But Zhu Minglang quickly raised a hand, calmly asking if the elder had ever seen him, Zhu Minglang, lose a single fight in his entire life. High above, hidden within the mysterious misty clouds, Mo Xie was waiting, shrouded in swirling smoke and flames. Zhu Minglang pointed forward, confidently commanding it to strike. Instantly, the sharp blade plunged from the heavens into Mo Shu's back, forcing him to his knees in agony. Satisfied, he gave a smug smile. He told the elder that since he was old, he should rest here to prevent any accidents, so people wouldn't call him disrespectful. Stroking his beard, Kang Lin wondered when their young master had become so powerful, while his nearby subordinates watched in utter awe. So the young master of our Zhu sect was a hidden powerhouse all along. Suddenly, strange black smoke spilled from Mo Shu's mouth. Clutching his bloody knees, he gritted his teeth and stood right back up. Zhu Minglang's eyes widened in disbelief. His knees were completely shattered, yet he stood up like it was nothing. Mo Shu snorted coldly. "So you are in the King realm. My brother's death was not in vain, but you will not leave this snow valley alive today." He clenched his fists, unleashing a wild surge of blazing lightning and fire around him. Rushing forward, he roared to be gone as he used his electric lightning to block Zhu Minglang's spirit sword. Under the crushing pressure, he struggled desperately to hold his ground, but the odds were stacked. Eventually, he had to withdraw his sword. Glancing at the falling rocks nearby, he gritted his teeth, realizing that fighting right here completely restricted his swordsmanship and risked accidentally hurting his own Zhu sect members. Leaping onto Mo Xie, he decided to lure the beast away first before planning his next move. Mo Shu laughed mockingly at the sight, calling him a pathetic coward and telling him to keep running. A few minutes later, Zhu Minglang has already relocated to a completely different spot. He carefully surveys the surroundings, noting that this spot is actually pretty great, with mountains and sea, perfect for burying a body. By now, Mark Hu has quickly caught up from behind, mockingly asking why the coward has stopped running. He scowls with absolute disgust, sneering that since they are all alone, he wants to see who could possibly save the boy's miserable life. To him, lowly mortals from the lower world can train all they want, but they can never compete with divine beings. Calling them nothing but absolute cowards, he boasts that they will slaughter as many of them as show up. This arrogant talk only makes Zhu Minglang's face darken with irritation, silently questioning where exactly the guy sees a coward. Mark Hu leaps down to the ground, taunting him further by asking what else lower world trash could be besides cowards. He offers to send Zhu Minglang straight to hell since he is all alone, prompting the young man to chuckle, wondering if he is truly by himself. Instantly, Zhu Minglang's eyes flash with a deadly cold light, purple lightning crackling around his pupils to signal his rising fury. He raises his hand, summoning an expanding magic array that spews out a sticky, thick fluid, instantly clinging to everything around them. Calling upon Thien Sat, he unleashes the Kuyu execution ground, splashing it directly onto the utterly baffled Mark Hu. As he struggles to move, the heavy slime completely locks his limbs down. No way out for him now. He's totally frozen in fear just as the massive dragon, Tian Sha Long, looms right behind his back. Its eyes glow like blazing embers, and only now does Mark Hu frantically realize this beast is a mid-tier king rank. Realizing it is a trap laid by a dragon king, he panics, while Zhu Minglang's face darkens as he coldly mutters that only Mark Hu is alone. Watching Mark Hu desperately flailing around, Zhu Minglang calmly explains that this Kuyu Mudclaw will eat him alive. No matter how legendary his armor is or how invincible his body seems, it will be corroded away piece by piece. He bids him to slowly savor the torture of a lower worlder, while Mark Hu screams out in utter denial. Sometime later, once the dust finally settles, Zhu Minglang looks up and tells Tian Shalong that the guy is officially finished. The dragon gives a low growl, heading back into its space. But wait, look at this. A small golden orb on the ground catches Zhu Minglang's eye, and he picks up what looks like a king-tier soul bead. He reasons that while a soul corrupted by darkness definitely gets flawed, it should not actually lower the grade of the soul bead itself. Frowning in deep thought, Zhu Minglang wonders if this thing is somehow similar to a magical fruit. Did the guy borrow some sort of special energy to temporarily wield king-level power? Rising quickly, Zhu Minglang stares up at the sky. He makes up his mind right then he absolutely must track down the source of this power. Only by destroying it can he put a permanent end to this chaos. Suddenly, a massive explosion echoes from inside a nearby cliff. Stepping inside, he is greeted by the sight of Vorsa, standing proudly alongside two massive, towering dragon beasts. She grumbles in a low voice, complaining that she actually had to step up and handle this herself. When Zhu Minglang asks if everyone is all right, Vorsa suddenly runs over and clings tightly to his arm, calling him a total jerk. She playfully pouts about him not letting her show off, her teasing tone giving Zhu Minglang quite a startle. She demands proper compensation, suggesting a kiss, which instantly makes him blush and try to calm her down. He begs her to stop teasing him like that, urging her to take a quick look behind her. Right behind them, the soldiers of Trukman are all watching in awe. One soldier clears his throat awkwardly, reporting that they have already cleaned up all the giant commanders here. Kainlum chuckles, teasingly remarking that young people these days certainly have a lot of colorful interests. Seeing their reactions, Vorsa huffs and frowns, declaring that she, Nam Vorsa, has never once cared about what the rest of the world thinks. A moment later, with his cheeks still a bit pink, Zhu Minglang swallows hard and quickly shifts back to their serious plan. He points out that although they wiped out most commanders, a few definitely escaped to report back, so they need to change direction immediately. Pointing to the map, he maps it out. They can bypass the slope of Loy Dirk Mountain to slip behind Twertling Castle, then wait for the perfect moment to strike. The soldiers eagerly agree, but just as he finishes speaking, dark clouds abruptly roll in, completely blocking out the light. Frequent lightning strikes flash across the dark sky. One of the men quickly takes charge, ordering everyone to find a spot to pitch camp before the storm hits. Soon, the temporary shelter is fully set up. Zhu Minglang and Kainlam stand on the cliffside, silently watching the main gates of Twertling Castle. He cannot help but worry, knowing the main army is already assaulting the walls. It is bound to be a brutal siege, and he wonders how his wife is holding up right now. Slowly, he looks up at the lightning above. That Juling city-state is definitely not a simple opponent. They actually used the heavenly lightning essence to set up a massive aerial barrier, making it completely impossible for our dragons to fly inside. Kanlam lets out a helpless sigh, regretting that they are so short on manpower. He analyzes the situation with a heavy voice, noting they could have sent a team to the peak or searched for a gap in the barrier. With that, he turns around and heads back inside. Suddenly, Zhu Minglang speaks up, "Why do not you guys wait here for the perfect moment to strike, while I head up to the mountain peak to investigate?" Kanlam warns him going alone, like this is dangerous, so you must be extremely careful. He smiles gently to reassure him, "It is fine, just let me check out the peak, while you guys stay here and keep a very close eye on the situation." Deep down, he is absolutely determined because Thantrak's ascension is right around the corner, and he must get his hands on that heavenly lightning essence. The lightning bolts are growing denser by the second. Zhu Minglang leaps from one peak to another, desperately searching for any crack in the barrier. Sweating from the tension, he wipes his brow, wondering how the battle inside Juling City-State is actually holding up. Back at Juling City-State, the army slowly marches forward, while the massive dragon beasts fly all around, desperately trying to find a way inside. One dragon beast spreads its massive wings and dives straight through the thick smoke. Suddenly, lightning strikes from the sky with terrifying force. It repeatedly blasts the dragons, leaving them writhing in absolute agony. Zhu Minglang mutters in sheer frustration, another failed assault. No wonder Juling City-State is completely fearless against any enemy. The flying dragons, the giant units, and the spear dragons will definitely run straight into this barrier. He begins to picture the absolute worst-case scenario. You can see how that silver fortress wall is as solid as gold. If they fail to breach the barrier and the walls, the entire vanguard army will end up dead right in the castle trenches. Zhu Minglang bites his lip, calculating his next move. Is this isolated city run by outsiders? And why on earth are they getting so much divine help? Right now, my best option is to secure that heavenly lightning essence and see if there is another way to break through. Right as that thought crosses his mind, he spots a shadow lurking behind a nearby tent. Zhu Minglang creeps behind a tree to observe. One figure wearing a feathered robe is a bird wizard from Mist Island, while the other is a mutant from the same place. He frowns, realizing these are definitely enemies, and decides he needs to get a closer look. After scanning them closely, Zhu Minglang determines that the shirtless figure covered in weird brown markings is likely a soldier transformed from a giant general. Then he glances at the feathered wizard wearing that strange mask, feeling like he has definitely seen him somewhere before. His eyes widen in complete shock. I remember now. They are the outsiders from Mist Island. An old memory flashes through his mind. I remember Li Yunzi once mentioned they called themselves the Bird God people, with the power to control aggressive flocks of birds. Juling City-State and Mist Island are actually working together. Realizing this, his face pales, knowing that those blind dragons might not be wild beasts after all. They have been lingering around the main army this whole time, systematically destroying supplies and picking off any soldier who gets separated. With that, Zhu Minglang quickly turns around to slip away. If those beasts are controlled by the Mist Island clan, then the location of our surprise ambush squad has definitely been compromised. Clenching his fists, he grinds his teeth. No wonder Tinhua told me this was a dead end. This war was destined to fail from the very start. Zhu Minglang hastily leaps down the mountain, still puzzled by why the people of Juling City-State and Mist Island would even align with each other. He frowns, adjusting his cloth in deep suspicion. Honestly, this whole situation is just getting more confusing by the second. Inside the tent, the mutant mutters with sheer contempt, those foolish, low-born people from Li Shuyan, do they honestly think hiding on the mountainside will keep us from knowing their exact whereabouts and intentions? The bird wizard laughs. They want to take advantage of this intense battle to stab our Juling City-State in the back. He emphasizes with a smirk too bad for them. The moment they descend, the sleeping blind dragons on the mountain pass will tear them to shreds. The mutant clenches his fist tightly, recalling how they established that sect palace years ago specifically to control Li Shuyan and prepare for the arrival of the Dragon Gate. Who could have guessed an orderer from the Apex continent would descend and flatten our sect palace, completely ruining our plans? The bird wizard is utterly baffled. A tiny apex is just someone from the lower world, so how could they possibly compare to us? Hearing this, Zhu Minglang narrows his eyes. He bends down as memories of the sect palace flood back. It was the first force to dominate Li Shuyan, and his wife's biggest obstacle to ruling the land. Who would have thought they were actually just puppets of Juling City-State? But what did they mean by people of the lower world? Zhu Minglang wonders to himself, is there a much larger world existing above the Apex continent? Are they establishing a connection with our Apex continent simply because of the influence of the Dragon Gate? Countless theories race through his mind. But one thing is clear, they are just from another continent, possessing slightly stronger secret arts. If they keep treating Li Chuan as an enemy, Zhu Minglang will absolutely show them no mercy. A moment later, those two finish plotting, and the witch-bird wizard warns them. It is almost time. He tells them, I will go gather the dragon hordes while you stay and guard this place. The mutant reassures him, do not worry. Whoever dares to come near will be chopped into 100 pieces. Behind the tent, Zhu Minglang grins with excitement. Perfect. Someone is about to be left completely alone. Now check this out. Night falls, and the dark forest starts rustling in the wind. Right then, a sudden bolt of lightning strikes from above, catching the witch-bird guy completely off guard. Seizing the moment, Zhu Minglang leaps down with a fierce roar. Mo Xie, kill him. The razor-sharp blade lunges straight for the witch-bird guy's face, but he manages to dodge at the very last second. He leaps back, putting distance between them, and sneers, one strike cannot kill me, so now you are the one who dies. With that, the witch-bird wizard begins summoning hordes of dragons to swarm the skies. They swirl together into a raging vortex. Let my dragon army tear you apart until there is absolutely nothing left. Zhu Minglang just smirks, your sins are unforgivable, now die. He looks up at the sky and commands the Tianxia dragon to strike. Answering the call, the Tianxia dragon immediately lets out an ear-splitting, thunderous roar. The massive dragon glides gracefully, swooping in close to the dragon horde before unleashing golden beams of light that shatter their ranks. The blinding beams pierce straight through the witch-bird guy's body. Watching the villain burn to ashes, Zhu Minglang cannot help but scoff. These dragons are pretty strong, but their master was totally useless. Meanwhile, the dragon swarm quickly reforms its massive, swirling vortex. Mr. Shan frowns and warns, get out of here. They are calling their allies from the mountain foot. Zhu Minglang scowls in sheer annoyance. These nasty pests cannot win, so they call for backup? Mr. Shan closes his eyes to explain. These dragons are incredibly vengeful, and since you killed their master, they will hunt you to the death. Forget about the Lei Tianzhong. Your life is more important, so run down the mountain now. You cannot face them alone. Zhu Minglang frowns. Quite puzzled, are they really that terrifying? Turning to him with a serious face, Mr. Shan replies, dragons are extremely cautious, and they always judge their enemy's true strength. You summoned both the Tianxia dragon and the sword spirit dragon, yet they still seek revenge, which means they are certain they can kill you. He hesitates for a moment, then looks up and says with regret, but the mountain peak is right in front of us. If we flee now, we lose this chance, and the Li Chuan army loses all hope. Zhu Minglang then asks seriously Mr. Shan, if I am stronger than them, will they just back off? Mr. Shan nods nervously, yes. They are stalling you because they are waiting to assemble their entire dragon army. He lowers his head, analyzing once gathered. They will easily overpower the Sword Spirit Dragon and the Tianxia Dragon. The only exception is if you can find a far more powerful ally in time. His words leave Zhu Minglang deep in thought, and he mutters then, we have no choice but to make a massive gamble. With that, he immediately dashes off into the distance. Mr. Shan watches his retreating figure in total confusion, shouting, gamble on what? Zhu Minglang grins, gamble on the Azure Luan Sacred Dragon successfully passing its heavenly tribulation to ascend. The Azure Luan Sacred Dragon King will be the absolute strongest ally I can obtain in the shortest time possible. Look at that sky, the raging dragon vortex is getting huge, completely blocking out the sun. The soldiers watch in shock, whispering the dragon army is back, and there must be tens of thousands of them. But looking closely, they realize something strange. The beasts are not heading toward them. What a relief. The Wu family elder watches them go, thinking they are all heading toward the mountain peak. I just hope Zhu Minglang does not run into them. Meanwhile, the dragon hordes stream toward another area. At that moment, the mutants spot Zhu Minglang and shout, who goes there? But he simply turns around and orders Mo Shi to strike. The crimson sword slashes through the air, piercing straight through the mutants before they can even think of resisting. Hearing the commotion outside, Mao Shu rushes out of his tent, roaring, what on earth is going on here? He threatens furiously, damn you, do you want to die? Purple sparks erupt around his body as he snarls, I, Cao Guang, will never let you off alive. But before he can even make a move, the Tianxia dragon swoops down right behind him. It tightly binds the witchbird wizard nearby, slamming him hard onto the ground. Sensing danger, Mao Shu begins channeling his power. Confronted by this threat, the mighty Tianxia dragon merely lets out a massive yawn. Then, as if by accident, it crushes the witchbird wizard into the dirt with its tail. Mao Shu scoffs in absolute disgust, you killed 3 of my men behind my back, yet you dare not touch me because you know you cannot kill a mid-tier Dragon King level expert like me. You might be pretty talented, but I, Cao Guang, am definitely no ordinary opponent. Zhu Minglang looks at his pathetic state and realizes the man was right. His body actually possesses a magnetic force, dragging all the purple ore from the mountain peak straight toward him. He guesses that crafting armor out of those rocks would make him nearly invincible, especially since this specific purple ore is incredibly tough. Even the corrupted dark aura of the Tianxia dragon would not be able to pierce through it. Zhu Minglang looks up at the sky, realizing the Mang dragon is closing in fast, making things look extremely bad. Suddenly, the Nuwa dragon appears right behind him. Zhu Minglang lets out a surprised gasp. Was she saying she actually had a way to deal with him? Without saying a single word, she immediately acts, raising her hand to cast a glowing ring of energy directly around Mo Shu. He sneers in mockery. A female demon dragon at the military grade thinks she can hurt him? He tells her to keep dreaming. Right then, bright waves of energy slowly split the mountain into massive boulders. They shoot toward Mo Shu like heat-seeking missiles, making him cry out in absolute terror. Wait, what? A massive boulder slams violently into Mo Shu's back from above, causing him to scream out in pure agony. And check this out, those rocks wrap completely around him, trapping him in a massive rolling tomb of solid stone that kicks up dust all the way to the sky. Zhu Minglang walks over, playfully teasing him, that is right. We should not kill him. We just need to seal him away. But suddenly, he turns his head and mutters, oh no, the Mang dragon is already here. Right behind them, the Tianxia dragon lets out a tired yawn. Zhu Minglang warns in a low voice, do not move. Just let them fly on by. Zhai looks confused and warns that doing this is definitely not guaranteed to succeed. If this fails, they will tear you apart and eat every last shred of you. But he only smiles gently, saying a dragon tamer has to trust his own dragons. Just as the pack of demon dragons surges directly toward where they stand, Zhu Minglang suddenly yells out. Right now, lightning strikes with a deafening boom as he keeps going. Zhu Minglang then raises his hand to give the command go, Qing Zhuo. Terrible pillars of lightning rain down from the sky, wrapping around Qing Zhuo's body like a dazzling suit of cosmic battle armor. It lifts its head with pride, pointing its sharp, long beak straight toward the furious sky. With a sharp twist of its body, Qing Zhuo beats its massive wings and dives. The dragon next to Zhu Minglang cries out in panic, this is no ordinary lightning, the little Qing Luan cannot take it. But he firmly shakes his head, no, it can. It has never been weak. Across the battlefield, Qing Zhuo gets blasted by brutal lightning strikes, sending it free-falling straight to the ground. It screeches out in agonizing pain, yet with unyielding resolve, it struggles to its feet and spreads its wings to fly back up. Qing Zhuo circles proudly in midair, its voice dripping with defiance. Let us see if this merciless lightning can be any more ruthless than my own mother. It screeches, throwing itself wildly right into the fierce lightning bolts above. Or can it be more brutal than my own brothers and sisters? Qing Zhuo screams out in deep agony. Old memories flood back, being thrown off a cliff as a chick. And then the moment Zhu Minglang reached out to hold it, its voice cracking with emotion. It was my master who saved me and changed my destiny. Qing Zhuo roars furiously to the heavens as a bolt of lightning rips through the sky. No matter how brutal today's heavenly tribulation is, how can it compare to what I went through before? I refuse to surrender, refuse to stay broken. This is my chance to rewrite my own destiny, and I must seize it at all costs. You can literally feel the raw, unmatched tension as its glowing body stands tall against the horror to conquer this dragon tribulation and spread its wings to fly once again. Zhu Minglang narrows his eyes, watching Qing Zhuo's desperate struggle without looking away. He whispers softly that Qing Zhuo is still the same as day one, desperately clinging to life without ever changing. In a quiet corner of the forest, a guard captain quickly rushes over to Li Yunzi, urgently reporting that the sky thunder barrier has completely vanished. She murmurs softly, her eyes locked on the burning horizon, wondering if his dragon is currently facing its tribulation. Hoping for the best, Li Yunzi turns around and decisively orders her army to assemble all their battle dragons immediately. Ride the dragons to the Silver Ridge. Her subordinate obeys, shouting the command to smash through the Silver Ridge and breach the ultimate fortress city. With earth-shaking roars, the entire army charges forward alongside their fierce dragons to crush the enemy. Back on the other battlefield, Qing Zhuo is struggling wildly, desperate to break free from the lightning's grip. Its eyes ignite with a brilliant glow, reflecting the dazzling flashes of lightning inside its very pupils. Qing Zhuo glides gracefully through the sky as bolts of electricity rip the night apart, exploding outward like radiant fireworks. Suddenly, its entire body is wrapped in brilliant silver armor, gleaming as if studded with thousands of flawless diamonds. Flapping its massive wings with pride, the legendary creature unleashes a terrifying wave of power from deep within its ancient bloodline and soul. Zhu Minglang's eyes flash with pure shock and joy as he shouts out in excitement, "Qing Zhuo, you did it! This is what it truly means to be born to die." Qing Zhuo spreads its majestic wings, fully embodying the divine presence of the Saint Phoenix and a mid-tier dragon king. Zhu Minglang lets out a sigh of relief, unable to hide the absolute shock in his eyes. Is this really the fully realized form of little Qing Zhuo? It is hard to believe. Not only is he a mid-tier dragon king, but he is. With a highly determined gaze, he looks up at Qing Zhuo ruling high above. The azure lightning life seed. Those tiny insects look as if they are cursed, dropping lifelessly to the ground one after another. Tianxia stares in awe at the majestic sight, even catching a faint burnt smell in the air as he sadly sighs to Zhu Minglang. "Why do I not have a life seed ability?" he mutters. But Zhu Minglang smiles and reassures him that his day will come too. Zhu Minglang looks up at the sky with absolute determination. "Qing Zhuo, it is our turn now. Let us strip those giant ridge generals of their sky completely. Just watch how fast he moves right on command." Qing Zhuo shoots across the open sky. Riding the wind like a raging storm, Qing Zhuo ruthlessly slams dragon after dragon into the dirt, their massive bodies crashing down like heavily falling ripe fruit. High up on the city wall, a figure watches the brutal battle, gritting his teeth in absolute rage over how frustrating this is. He never expected those dragons to use a thunderwing sky seed to evolve their own life seeds. Raising his glowing staff, the old man roars in sheer fury that he will beat them until their souls are utterly shattered. He wants to tear their flesh into 100 pieces and rip out their dragon hearts, prompting the venomous demon birds to fiercely dive into the chaotic clash. Qing Zhuo lets out a furious roar, his burning eyes locked onto the oncoming monsters. "Get down here." The order rings out as aggressive lightning tears the dark night apart. The venomous birds take direct lightning hits, their feathers scorched black and smoking heavily. Completely frozen on the wall, the old man helplessly watches his beasts fall like autumn leaves, while a worried general rushes over with urgent news. "This cyan dragon is in his prime right now, so you must call in more venomous birds and giant ridge demon dragons to contain him." Staring down at the vast army surrounding the fortress gates, he gives a sharp, decisive order. "We will wipe out the besieging forces down below first," he says, and his men immediately acknowledge the command. Thunderous war drums echo, driving the soldiers forward into a brutal battle of life and death. They roar as a brilliant streak of light tears through the night, with Zhu Minglang soaring past on his sword, shouting up a clear order to Qing Zhuo hovering high above. "Qing Zhuo, you secure the sky, while I head down below to see what is going on. And check this out down on the ground. A massive armored scorpion is now aggressively crushing everything in its path. Under the relentless dragon attacks, the panicked soldiers scream desperately for help, as Muzong of the Wuhu Imperial Court looks on with deep worry. He mutters that the situation looks pretty bad. Those giant ridge generals were already tough enough, but adding these red-spotted toxic dragons makes it almost impossible to hold the line. Suddenly, his eyes lock onto a single spot, his face twisting in shock as he realizes that person looks like Zhu Minglang. Sweeping through the air like a gust of wind, he effortlessly takes down dragon after dragon with absolute speed and precision. Mingwei stands stunned, stammering about Zhu Minglang of the Zhu sect, questioning if he was not supposed to be just a useless playboy, while Muzong quickly turns around. He glares directly at him with a deeply scanning look. As the only son of one of the 6 great sect leaders, why have I not felt your presence, Zhou Xian, in this battle at all? Zhou Xian's eyes flash with malice, his face twisting in ugly jealousy as he curses under his breath. Since Zhu Minglang is so arrogant, people will definitely flock to the Zhu sect for shelter. But Mingui just sneers with ultimate confidence next to him. Do not worry. A mere human from the lower realm, no matter how high his cultivation might be, he is still 100,000 miles away from a true god, and once I claim the divine grace, the Zhu sect and the Imperial Church will both have to bow to me. Zhou Xian quickly turns back, asking with deep suspicion. Where exactly is this grace you speak of, he asks, as Mingwei smirks, noting that Zhu Minglang is actually clearing the path for them. Once they breach the city walls, we will take the perfect opportunity to sneak into those ancient ruins. The grace is hidden right there, he whispers in a highly enticing tone, promising that once they claim it, Zhou Xian will obtain a massive army as powerful as those giant ridge generals. Hearing this, his eyes instantly light up. His face is consumed by pure ambition, boasting that once that happens, he will finally dominate the entire world. Mingwei nods slowly, beginning to lay out a highly detailed plan for Zhou Xian. We will strike out on our own soon, relying on my crossbow squad and these powerful elders to successfully break into the ruins and secure that divine grace. Just follow me, and I will give you whatever you want. Beneath the city walls, the commander leading the army roars, urging his soldiers forward, yelling that the wall is cracked and they must breach the gates. Zhu Minglang glides through the air, looking down at the chaotic battlefield below. The main gate is already breached. He calls out Makta. Let us head to the rear gate and check on our ambush squad. Meanwhile, at the rear of the city, soldiers still stand tall, keeping a strict and vigilant guard. A man whispers in a deeply sarcastic and contemptuous tone, so this so-called great faction is just a bunch of ordinary mortals gathered together. Ban Ho speaks up, his deep voice dripping with pure arrogance as he addresses Nam Hung. He turns to the man beside him, complaining that making him fight these weaklings is an absolute waste of his time. Do Dung, the palace lord, chimes in, pointing a bony finger toward the distance. Nam Hung, look, that woman is from the Nam family. Ban Ho narrows his eyes in the direction of the finger, sounding quite doubtful. The Nam family from Li Suyen? Is that the woman named Nam Ninhe who plotted against our envoy and caused the brutal death of your 4th son from the Do family? Do Dung nods aggressively, his face contorted with anger. Yes, that is the exact same wench. If she had not teamed up with Li Yunzi to oppose our palace, Li Zuyen would have fallen into our hands a long time ago. Pure excitement fills Ban Ho's menacing face as he greedily licks the sharp metal hook attached to his severed arm. What a stunning beauty. He sneers. I really want to gouge out those pretty eyes of hers. Before he can finish, a cold voice behind them makes Ban Ho freeze. My bad. But first, both of your lives are currently in my hands. As Ban Ho and Do Dung whip their heads around in panic, they see Zhu Minglang hovering in midair, riding his sword, demanding to know who they are. Ban Ho growls, his eyes burning with absolute fury as he glares at him. Not many on this continent can take my life, he barks. Are you strong enough, kid? Zhu Minglang's lips curl into a mocking smirk as his sharp gaze shifts toward Do Dung. Old man, your son was named Dorthan, right? Feeling completely ignored, Ban Ho lets out a massive, explosive burst of anger. Zhu Minglang completely ignores his rage, calmly continuing. You blamed Nam Ningza wrongfully, because I was the one who actually killed your son, Dorthan. He slowly pulls out a worn-out robe, holding it high for everyone below to see, asking if the old man recognizes it. Do Dung's eyes turn bloodshot, veins popping on his forehead as he grits his teeth, demanding to know who Zhu Minglang is. Flushed with fury, Ban Ho roars like a wild beast, ready to pounce. Why waste words on him? Just kill him already. And here is where it gets crazy. In the blink of an eye, his body completely transforms, covered in pitch-black demonic energy. Ban Ho channels all his power into his legs, stomping hard against the ground with a loud, resounding boom. Instantly, he turns into a dark hurricane, charging wildly at Zhu Minglang and screaming at him to die. But the sword beneath the boy's feet flashes, shooting out like lightning. It effortlessly knocks Ban Ho back before returning right to Zhu Minglang's feet. The young man sighs, shaking his head at the beastly opponent. I thought you were just trash, but you are a total animal, he sighs. Ban Ho roars in pure rage. Damn it, is this a dragon or a sword? Zhu Minglang stands tall in the air, a massive surge of energy radiating from him. He casually asks if it even matters whether it is a dragon or a sword. He raises his right hand, gathering a brilliant, golden halo in his palm. A long sword suddenly materializes, gripped tightly by Zhu Minglang's soul form as his mind and blade fuse into one. He lightly grabs the sword floating right beneath his feet, whispering for the Liu Feng sword. Right before him, fierce tornadoes begin to howl violently, shaping into a massive wall of wind. A moment later, he casually waves his sleeve, commanding it to strike. Beneath his skin, Banho's body suddenly starts to burn, feeling a searing, invisible fire consuming him mercilessly. Suddenly, he freezes, coughing up a mouthful of fresh blood. It pours out from his wounds, soaking into the dry ground, and leaving deep red stains. And you will not believe what rises next. Bone-chilling, monstrous creatures crawling right out of that putrid pool of blood. Zhu Minglang's eyes flicker as he raises an eyebrow, Vo Muk Ta Long. It seems Banho is deeply connected to it. From below, Banho lets out a manic, beastly laugh. Unleashing all his hideous, mouth-filled tentacles, the monster shrieks, "Die. Just die, all of you." His eyes lock onto the young man, analyzing him before speaking slowly among these people. "There must be someone extremely precious to you, right?" With a cruel smirk, he orders the deformed beast to slaughter the soldiers, then turns back to growl at his enemy. "Do not worry. I will submerge you in that pool of curses, letting your flesh and bones corrode bit by bit." Completely lost in his delusion of victory, Banho looks down at his foe with deep contempt. "With just that single sword of yours, you stand absolutely no chance against me." But right at this moment, Zhu Minglang's eyes turn razor-sharp, sending a cold shiver down Banho's neck as sweat drips down his face. Watching those hideous, slimy tentacles covered in snapping mouths, shattered one by one, Banho roars in absolute rage, screaming, "What is happening? Damn it, my blood-leech dragon." Zhu Minglang just smirks, a freezing smile spreading across his face as he asks, "Did you really think you could keep using that monster to drain others and boost your own power?" Shaking his head with a soft sigh, he quietly mutters, "Too bad for you, because I am not giving you another chance." Du Duong stands frozen, staring wide-eyed at Zhu Minglang's incredibly precise, rapid movements. "He actually severed your blood-leech dragon." Totally consumed by blinding rage, Banho snarls that if things have come to this, nobody can blame him for being completely ruthless now. Flinching in sheer terror, Du Duong spins around to face him, shouting, "Banho, what are you doing?" The blood-leech dragon, controlled by Banho, suddenly turns on its own ally, snapping its jaws over a horrified Du Duong. Dissolving into nothingness, Du Duong screeches with absolute, bitter hatred, "Banho, you do not deserve an easy death." Without even glancing at the dissolving corpse, Banho lets out a sadistic laugh, mocking, "Did you not want to avenge your son so badly? Give me all of your blood, and I will get that revenge for you." He then turns his bloodshot eyes toward Zhu Minglang. He sneers mockingly, "Keep trying to trap me like this, kid. Without your precious sword, let's see how you deal with me." Zhu Minglang just chuckles, looking down at Banho as if he is staring at the biggest fool alive. "Did you seriously think my blade was only meant to trap you?" Suddenly, countless razor-sharp beams of sword light tear through the air, blasting directly toward Banho at a breakneck speed. Just look at this, his bare, defenseless body is immediately shredded by the flashing sword light, spraying blood everywhere. Coughing up a massive spray of blood, Banho turns incredibly pale from sheer pain and terror. "Curse it," he snarls to himself. "I need to break through this sword barrier right now." Behind him, his true form begins to flicker, a monstrous demon bull radiating a massive, terrifying energy, ready to strike. Stomping the ground, Banho launches himself into the air like a deadly arrow, unleashing his demon bull charge in a desperate, frantic bid to smash the barrier. Puffing out his chest with false confidence, he lets out a savage laugh, looking down at Zhu Minglang with total contempt. Mocking that human tricks are absolutely worthless, Banho sneers. But Zhu Minglang just calmly raises his hand with a cold, knowing smile. "Arrogant even on the brink of death? I don't think so." Suddenly, Zhu Minglang's sword vibrates violently. It stands perfectly upright in midair, releasing a colossal wave of energy that completely overwhelms everything around. Out of nowhere, an invisible slash tears through the sky, blasting Banho backward with absolutely devastating force. His massive body slams heavily into the stone cliff, triggering an incredibly loud, bone-shattering crash. Watching Banho struggle to get back up, Zhu Minglang sighs mockingly, saying, "You are pretty tough, but let's see you survive this next strike." The sharp blade immediately rips through space, driving straight through Banho's head and sending a massive spray of blood flying everywhere. But suddenly, a grotesque, slimy creature emerges, making a sickening, wet, gurgling sound. It slithers right out of Banho's open mouth, stretching its gross, coiled, snake-like body until it wraps completely around his entire physical frame, constricting him tightly. Then, Banho lets out a colossal, earth-shaking roar. And there it is, his whole body gets swallowed by the bizarre monster, losing control as it completely possesses him. Watching from above, Zhu Minglang casually cleans his ear, muttering the real threat is finally out. But man, is it loud. Below him, ominous red light beams pierce through the creature's strange patchwork body as it lets out a deafening, ear-splitting shriek that echoes through the entire area. Back on the main front line, the soldiers quickly notice the massive commotion. They watch Banho's grotesque body burn violently. Nan Lingsha's eyes cold with bloodlust. She barks out the order, "What are you waiting for? Wipe them out." Seizing the perfect opportunity while the enemy forces are completely off guard, the surrounding dragons simultaneously unleash massive columns of fire, incinerating everything into ash. The enemy soldiers scatter in absolute panic, their desperate cries echoing across the battlefield. As they run for their lives, Zhu Minglang glances over, murmuring in absolute shock. Who would have thought my auntie's Kylan dragon could reach king tier just like my Lai dragon, after eating that platinum cultivation fruit, and without even needing any extra divine root support from the heavens? It seems the natural destiny of these two dragons is incredibly high. After the savage flames finally die down, Banho's charred corpse is still smoking, letting out a series of unsettling, high-pitched hissing sounds. Zhu Minglang touches down on the shattered ground, casually walking toward the smoking wreckage to claim his prize, completely confident. He declares that your evil dragon's demon core belongs to him now. Instantly, the crowd rushes forward, surrounding him in wild celebration. They cheer that he actually took down those two, Nam Hung and Banho. Impressive. But a nearby ally looks a bit uneasy, asking him a question. He wonders what they should do next, but Zhu Minglang just gives a reassuring smile and a brief reply. With a freezing glare, he smirks with absolute pride and marches straight inside, declaring that anyone who dares to block his path will be slaughtered on the spot. The other man nods eagerly, his eyes burning with fire as he agrees we have to show those giant foreign tribes our true power. They charge straight inside, aiming to wipe out the assault squad led by Zhu Minglang. Fighting through endless obstacles and cutting down enemy generals, he finally joins forces with the main army for the frontal clash. Finally, Twertlin city-state falls to the invasion. Vorgia walks up to him and softly asks if Tinhuar already told Zhu Minglang about this situation. He nods silently. His eyes look deep in thought. She suspects that the ultimate secret of Twertlin city-state lies deep within the ancient ruins inside the city. Sensing his deep anxiety, an officer nearby cautiously steps up to ask if Zhu Minglang is still worried about something. He stares at the ancient statues nearby. Then, his voice drops incredibly low. Even though this giant city-state has officially been occupied, the enemy forces do not seem panicked at all. While their devil dragon clashed with my dragon high in the sky, I noticed those ancient ruins looked extremely strange. Hearing this, the general next to him nods in silent agreement, his face filled with deep anxiety. You see, this city-state is indeed quite terrifying. Even the massive coalition formed by our entire continent might not match the raw power hidden right inside here. He steps forward. Then, he offers a deeply respectful bow to Zhu Minglang. Thanks to Zhu Minglang, that threat has been eliminated. The young man looks back at her with a highly determined gaze. He suggests that Vorgia should head inside with him to coordinate, and she quickly nods her head in agreement. Fine, you stubborn brat. Hurry up and get over here. Deep inside the ancient ruins, overgrown trees choke the crumbling stone structures. Walking deeper into the core area, Nan Lingsha gasps with absolute surprise. This is the very heart of the city-state, yet there is not a single guard defending it. Her eyes sweep across every corner as she carefully notes that these ruins are fairly small, meaning they should finish exploring very soon. After a short while, Zhu Minglang and Nan Lingsha are still wandering around. Suddenly, her footsteps freeze, prompting him to look over in confusion and ask what is going on. Nan Lingsha quickly replies, asking if he notices that they seem to be getting further and further from the boundary wall. Hearing this, Zhu Minglang quickly looks around and realizes they have only been walking for a very short while. Yet the distance is already massive, meaning this space operates on its own strange rules. Perhaps there is an entire hidden world tucked away inside. Nan Lingsha nods silently, noting that these ruins are far from simple, as they both continue making their way deeper into the decaying wreckage. She frowns in deep confusion. Why would a massive palace be sitting out here? A ruined structure looms ahead with a decaying wooden sign dangling above, prompting Zhu Minglang to suggest they head inside and investigate. Once inside the decaying halls, Zhu Minglang and Nan Lingsha follow a narrow path deeper into the darkness. Massive roots from ancient trees choke the rough stone walls, and they almost seem to twitch with a low, breathing sound that echoes in the silence. Zhu Minglang closes his eyes, trying to focus on his surroundings through his sharpest senses. He faintly visualizes a mysterious figure sitting in the shadows, fingers dancing across strings to produce a deeply beautiful, haunting melody. He takes a deep, heavy breath. Zhu Minglang quietly frowns and reflects. This haunting melody is clearly some kind of ancient inheritance, but unfortunately, he lacks the specific talent needed to truly connect with its power. Then he suddenly notices that Nan Lingsha is silently crying, leaving Zhu Minglang to wonder if she somehow understands this timeless melody. He asks her, "Do you hear the tragic story hidden inside?" But Nan Lingsha simply shakes her head, leaving him totally baffled as to why she is crying, until she finally speaks with trembling, pale lips. And here's the kicker, she reveals that the player is actually their mother, a shocking truth that completely freezes Zhu Minglang in absolute disbelief. He never expected this mysterious palace of divine rhythm to belong to the mother of those four sisters. Does this mean they actually originate from Twertling city-state as well? He leans close, asking in a very quiet whisper if the people of this place belong to her own clan. Nan Lingsha barely even looks. She merely shoots him a sharp glare and asks how that could even be possible, wondering why Tin Huar and Li Yunzi never told him. Embarrassed, Zhu Minglang clears his throat to hide his intense curiosity and asks her to explain, prompting Nan Lingsha to look down and speak in a soft voice. She explains that they do not belong to her clan, and these ancient ruins existed long before the city-state was even founded. Her voice goes completely flat, noting that the truth about their mother remains an incredibly deep mystery. But when the refugees of Tuertlin city-state fled here in desperate search of safety, her mother chose to take them in, to secure a safe haven. Those desperate refugees knelt outside this very zither palace, weeping and begging the goddess to grant them mercy. Nan Lingsha slowly shares what she knows with Zhu Minglang. This place is packed with divine spiritual energy, making it incredibly easy for any cultivator to train and grow. The ones her mother saved back then were likely a clan of fugitives. Even after building this massive mountain city, they lived in constant fear of their old enemies finding them, never daring to step outside. Zhu Minglang pauses, piecing it together, so that is why they set up the sect palace to control Li Xuan. Nan Lingsha nods, quietly adding, even the most pitiful people have a side you can hate. If they could betray their own clan, then turning on the kind soul who rescued and sheltered them was going to be easy. The absolute scum of that city targeted helpless newborns like us just to destroy my mother. Her voice starts shaking as the painful memories rush back. Mother sacrificed her own life to save us. Nan Lingsha keeps telling the story in a low, sorrowful tone, her eyes filled with old grief. She placed my soul and the starfire inside the bodies of Namvur Sa and Li Yunzi, letting us barely survive. Just two tiny, lost souls forced to share the bodies of two young girls as they grew up. Nan Lingsha grimaces here, her face twisting in pure disgust. And that idiot Leon was so terrified of the royal palace that he actually locked up the rebels and sister Li Yunzi. Zhu Minglang lets out a heavy sigh, his eyes filled with absolute pity for them. He never imagined his wife and sister-in-law went through such horrible trauma at such a young age. It is truly heartbreaking. This war is not just about wiping out a rogue clan on the continent, it is a straight-up revenge mission for these four sisters. He lowers his head, voice dark with anger, the murder of their mother, the humiliation. Even back then, completely powerless, she still fought back with everything she had. If only I was still a sword cultivator back then, he sighs. One strike would have pulverized that entire palace, and Li Yunzi would never have suffered. He looks up at Nan Lingsha. His voice drops to a quiet whisper. Thankfully, things are different now. Zhu Minglang is a whole new man, and he is going to crush this entire mountain city. Clenching his fists until they bleed, he vows to himself, Li Yunzi, do not worry. I will protect you and your sisters, and I will never let you suffer like this again. Right at that moment, a desperate scream for help rips through the quiet air, catching both Zhu Minglang and Nan Lingsha off guard as they whip their heads toward the sound. Just when you think they can catch a breath, the silence completely shatters. Min Kui bursts into the room looking completely pale and out of breath, crying out for Zhu Minglang like his entire world is about to end. Summon your azure dragon right now, he begs. An earth demon appeared and slaughtered our entire army. The great Zhou clan leaders are all wiped out. Nan Lingsha is utterly stunned because, based on everything she knows, there is no way an earth demon should be here. Min Kui completely ignores her, too terrified to care about what she thinks. He keeps begging for Zhu Minglang to summon his azure dragon right away. But the demand only makes the main character highly suspicious about the whole situation. Why did Min Kui sneak off to these ruins instead of staying safe? He definitely has an agenda. Following a brief silence, Zhu Minglang leans down close, whispering directly into Min Kui's ear. He says, I can help you, but it will cost you. Min Kui just smirks back, grabbing his arm with a dark, knowing look. I will give you a major secret, he whispers. Just keep me safe and alive. Zhu Minglang plays it cool, but his curiosity is definitely piqued, so he tells him to spit it out. Trapped and desperate, Min Kui drops the attitude, mentioning the legendary divine grace and wondering how a guy from the lower world could possibly know about it. Hearing that arrogant lower world insult, Zhu Minglang loses his patience and beats him down. Dusting his hands off, Zhu Minglang warns him to speak with some actual respect. Learn how to talk properly, he growls. Having learned his lesson, a terrified Min Kui immediately apologizes and promises to explain it right. Adopting a completely serious tone, he carefully lays out the entire situation. Every single time a god ascends through the boundary gate, a divine blessing is gifted to the mortal place they left behind. Despite his lazy look, Min Kui actually surprises everyone with his vast knowledge. Until someone actually locates and unlocks it, absolutely nobody has any idea what kind of treasure is hidden inside. It could be a divine dragon, an epic revelation, or some rare legendary beast. But whatever it is, that blessing lies right inside these ruins. Get ready, because this is where the mystery really deepens. Following his lead, Zhu Minglang soon arrives at a completely destroyed wasteland where total chaos has broken out. leaving countless cold bodies scattered all over the ruined ground. Shaking with a deathly pale face, Min Kui whispers that this is the spot they were all completely slaughtered by that earth demon. Rather than rushing in, Zhu Minglang and Vorsa stand perfectly still, scanning the quiet ruins around them. It feels like some invisible presence is watching their every single move. Suddenly, a glowing red eye opens from the cracked stone, staring wide and glaring with pure malice to threaten anyone who dares trespass on its ancient territory. Within seconds, a massive stone golem fully rises right before their eyes, its entire body covered in ancient, weathered moss. One glance is all Zhu Minglang needs to confirm Mingji spoke the absolute truth. This is indeed the dread earth fiend. Totally losing his cool, Mingji cowers behind Zhu Minglang. He shakes. Yes, indeed, that is the monster. Kill it quickly. The key of grace is hiding inside its very eye. Ignoring the sheer panic, Yusha slowly steps forward, her voice trembling slightly despite her best efforts as she whispers to Zhu Minglang that this creature is truly terrifying. Sensing her unease, he quickly reassures her relax. Since this earth fiend will be easy, Zhu Minglang can afford to be this confident because he thoroughly understands the exact origin of this monster's power. The fiend derives all its power from the earth spirits, he thinks. Yet I happen to be the most powerful incarnation of the earth spirit itself. Fearing things might spiral out of hand, Zhu Minglang barks out a sudden, decisive command that brooks no argument. Go, Nuwa Dragon, take it down. She reacts with absolute speed, immediately casting her magic to unleash brilliant ribbons of glowing pink light directly at the towering earth fiend. Standing close by, Zhu Minglang keeps his eyes locked onto the clash, carefully observing while shouting out precise guidance. It is incredibly strong. We can suppress it. Of course, Nuwa possesses ancient wisdom herself, and knows the critical key here. They must not allow it to regenerate. With his terror fading slightly, Mingji stares closely at Zhu Minglang. Wait, why does this guy look so familiar? A sudden memory flashed back, and everything became instantly clear to him. Snapping out of it, Mingji points right at his face and screams, I remember now. You are that flying sword thief. Realizing he is busted, Zhu Minglang remains completely unfazed. He actually looks a bit amused, casually owning up to it before asking directly. I took quite a few of your platinum cultivation fruits. Got a problem with that? Mingji clearly did not expect such a blunt question, stuttering as he tries to find his words. No problem, he stammers. As the tough battle drags on, Zhu Minglang decides to bring in backup Mo Xie. It is your turn. The moment he appears, Mo Xie unleashes a relentless barrage of swift sword strikes. His stormy slashes rain down upon the giant earth fiend. Honestly, this crazy fight is reaching peak intensity right now. A weathered old servant suddenly appears on top of the towering wall, cackling in a shrill voice. Well now, do we have some new visitors? My suspicions were correct. Did Nongshong and Pinghu actually die by your hands? Zhu Minglang studies the newcomer carefully, facing a completely unfamiliar stranger, with no clue if he is friend or foe. Cautiously, he demands to know who he is dealing with, and the old servant does not bother hiding his identity. I am merely an old servant of this garden who used to serve a few honorable masters, so whatever my actual name is has long since ceased to matter. But his next words are filled with such sheer arrogance and cold cruelty that it sends a shiver down the spine. Still, I am not the kind of completely merciless man who just kills people blindly. After all, I have slaughtered thousands of arrogant young fools like you who never learned their place in this vast world of ours. But Zhu Minglang is certainly no pushover, and the second the old man finishes speaking, he snaps right back with a lethal reply. I only bothered asking for your name so that when the next fool crosses my path, their first question to me will likely be something this old servant has never once heard in his entire life. Only Zhu Minglang would dare to be this insanely bold. Did the worthless dog servant of this garden die by your hands? In his heart, Zhu Minglang completely brushes off the old man's empty boasting, casually muttering who in the world couldn't pull that off. Feeling utterly humiliated, the old servant quickly changes the subject, snarling out, Kid, do you even know what my divine mortal power is? Zhu Minglang sighs at his stubbornness and immediately fires back from the very start. I never care about anyone's power, because they could never hope to be stronger than me. The old servant goes completely purple with sheer rage. His bloodshot eyes glare wildly, itching to tear the boy limb from limb after suffering such a massive insult. He roars out, Insolent brat, hand over your life. But looking at what the old man is holding, Zhu Minglang is actually a bit surprised. And Yin Spirit Master. Seeing his surprise, the old servant immediately assumes the boy is terrified and praises him for actually knowing his ancient stuff. Since you know my title, you should understand what comes next. He channels his power, suddenly enveloped in a massive wave of raging blue energy. It blazes wildly like an endless fire, as he warns them that dying by his hand is only the beginning of their torment. Standing high above, he is not done yet, continuously chanting dark incantations like some twisted, wicked priest. Earth spirits of the great Zhou clan, tear this foolish brat to pieces for me. Instantly, those dead bodies on the ground crawl up like rotting zombies, completely surrounding Zhu Minglang and his allies. Right now, he and Vorsa are standing shoulder to shoulder, warily scanning their surroundings. She turns and says to Zhu Minglang, "I will handle these dead bodies, go kill that old beast." He is quite happy to follow her lead and replies with a quick "got it." With the plan set, Vorsa swiftly summons her Qilin dragon, unleashing a massive wave of fire that turns the approaching zombies into absolute ash. Not wanting to be outdone, Zhu Minglang immediately strikes at the old servant with Makta, yelling out, "You filthy dog, take my blade." His devastating slash completely obliterates the ground where the old servant stood, yet the slippery old man still somehow manages to dodge the strike. To make it worse, the old servant bursts into loud laughter, mockingly ridiculing him. "You are too arrogant," he sneers. "Did you think this broken sword could hurt me?" With that, he retaliates, ordering his creepy earth devil fairy to give them a warm welcome. Hearing all this useless trash talk, Zhu Minglang completely loses his patience. He immediately orders Makta to split into multiple clones, telling him, "You talk way too much." Soul-anchoring sword. A brutal rain of swords pours down on the old servant and his creepy creature, wiping that cocky smirk off his face instantly. The Earth Devil Fairy takes direct hits, its body covered in so many deep cracks it looks ready to shatter into pieces. Seizing this golden opportunity to end the fight quickly, Zhu Minglang wastes no time and unleashes his next big attack. He calls forth the Celestial Fiend Dragon, and a truly massive purple dragon slowly emerges, radiating a pretty terrifying pressure that makes everyone shake. Darting forward like a flash of lightning, the dragon closes the gap with the defensive Earth Devil Fairy in an instant. Without a single second of delay, it delivers a thunderous tail swipe straight to the enemy's head, officially blasting the Earth Devil Fairy to absolute dust. But look at this. Giant, grotesque worms suddenly start crawling out of the massive cracks in its broken body. Seeing his creature defeated and realizing he is in deep trouble, the old servant quickly tries to sneak away. Cursing under his breath that this brat has such a powerful dragon, the old man flees, while Makta trash-talks him, not losing sight of the escaping coward, calling him a mere blessed earthworm who dares call himself a devil fairy, before ordering the spirit dragon sword to purge the remaining worms. "Leave it to me," Makta replies. Meanwhile, seeing the old coward run, how could Zhu Minglang possibly let him escape? "Let's go kill that old beast," Zhu Minglang tells his dragon, while Makta stays quite busy relentlessly hacking away at the giant worms. Every single strike is incredibly sharp and precise, slicing the grotesque worms into tiny, harmless shreds, creating a scene that is both terrifyingly bloody yet oddly beautiful. In a flash, the surrounding pests are gone, revealing the true form of the Earth Devil Fairy. It turns out to be a magic eye worm, which quickly seizes a brief opening to slip past Makta, vanishing into the pitch-black darkness. Spotting the movement, Makta immediately gives chase, yelling at the creature to stop hiding and show itself. The magic eye worm heads straight for a nearby stone statue, burrowing deep inside to seek refuge. The moment the worm slips in, one of the statue's eyes flashes with a pretty eerie red glow, matching the look of the Devil Fairy. A second later, this supposedly lifeless stone monument actually begins to move, slowly clenching its massive fist. This completely confuses Makta, who struggles to understand how a giant rock can move. Watching this happen from a distance, Zhu Minglang pieces it together and warns his allies, shouting that the worm's eye is actually the trigger to activate this giant stone golem. Staring at the stone face, Zhu Minglang realizes the grim truth. The Earth Devil Fairy has fully merged with this new vessel, making him far stronger than before. Realizing the danger, he urgently screams out for Makta to watch out, because without warning, the stone statue opens its massive mouth and spews a torrent of fire directly at the sword spirit. Caught slightly off guard, Makta is struck by the flames, leaving its body scorched. Looking at this, Zhu Minglang senses that something is quite wrong here. After a moment, he slowly puts the pieces together, realizing those city soldiers transforming into stone giants was not some secret magic, but rather the work of these mind-controlling worms. But did you really think Makta would go down that easily? Almost instantly, it recovers completely, charging at the stone statue with pure rage and shouting, "Stop acting so arrogant, face my sword." Seeing Makta charge forward at blinding speed, the stone statue immediately tries to spot an opening to grab its target. Realizing he cannot just stand and watch, Zhu Minglang instinctively bellows out his next move, calling for the spirit dragon sword. Spurred on by his loud command, Makta barely manages to dodge the statue's heavy, crushing hand. Once again, his shout echoes as he orders another spirit dragon strike. Makta loops high in the air to distract the giant, before turning to reassure its master. "Do not worry, I have just been playing around with this big pile of rocks." Hearing this, he lets out a quiet sigh of relief, smiling at his companion and telling it, "Good. Let's wrap this up quickly. I still have to kill that old servant." Makta is not waiting around anymore, feeling like he has played enough and it is time to head home. "Don't worry, leave this to me. This game ends now." Without another word, Makta stabs straight through the stone head. This single piercing strike forces the demon eye worm to show its true form, pinned down by Makta. In a flash, Makta slices the demon eye worm clean in half, an absolutely spectacular move that leaves everyone completely awestruck. With Dudan completely wiped out, the remaining worms scatter in absolute panic like a headless snake trying to escape. Watching this unfold, Wujia gently pats Keelan Dragon and whispers for it to hunt down those earth demon worms. Fire Keelan, show them absolutely no mercy. Receiving the order, the beast unleashes a massive, devastating torrent of blazing breath, instantly trapping the helpless earth demon worms inside a raging sea of fire. Meanwhile, Zhu Minglang is relentlessly chasing down that old servant. Even though he looks quite elderly, the guy is surprisingly fast on his feet. Stop running, you old beast. As Zhu Minglang pursues him, the old man suddenly darts into a mysterious area and stops, grinning back with pure malice. You foolish brat, actually daring to follow me all the way here. It looks like your judgment day has finally arrived. Suddenly, a massive, purple, centipede-like monster with countless legs emerges. This terrifying beast is none other than the dreaded evil centipede dragon. Looking up with a desperate, pleading gaze, the old servant looks absolutely horrifying. Come to me, he begs. Let us fuse together as one. Accepting his willing sacrifice, the evil dragon tightly wraps itself around the old servant as he continues to praise the creature hysterically, calling it the supreme evil god. Now watch this below them. Zhu Minglang watches this unbelievable horror unfold as blood spills alongside the old man's agonized screams. Seeing the old servant acting so insanely, Zhu Minglang is completely unfazed by the display. He cannot help but sneer in mockery, calling the creature a supreme evil god when it is really just a repulsive monster. Before long, the fusion is complete. The grotesque hybrid slowly creeps toward Zhu Minglang, hissing for the brat to drop dead. Thian Sat stares at the approaching monstrosity, completely bewildered for a second because it has never seen such a bizarre creature before. But as the toxic green liquid flies toward them, Thian Sat simply lets out a deep roar of pure contempt. There is no way these disgusting tricks can touch the Dragon King. Deflecting the green liquid right back, the old servant is left looking absolutely pathetic. 5 creepy eyes now pop up on his face, yet even with all that power, absolute defeat still stares him down. Driven absolutely mad with rage, the old servant decides to go all in, throwing his entire body directly at Zhu Minglang and Thian Sat. Cursing that Zhu Minglang forced his hand, the old man charges. Tired of this useless drag, Zhu Minglang immediately gives the final order to his dragon. Tian Shalong, finish him off. Agreeing that it is time, the dragon unleashes a blinding beam of pure white light straight at the target. In the blink of an eye, the old servant is completely dissolved into a puddle of water. Yet his lingering grudge refuses to die, transforming into restless spirits that circle around Zhu Minglang, screaming out to know his true identity. The defeated servant simply cannot accept his demise, crying out in disbelief that he could possibly fall to a mere kid like this. Deciding to grant him one last mercy, Zhu Minglang casually scratches his head and delivers a cold, indifferent response. Plenty of your people from the Juling City Alliance have already died by my hands. And to ensure the old man rests in peace, he adds a little extra. They are probably full of regret down in the underworld right now, so you should probably hurry down and ask them yourself. Without waiting for a reply, Zhu Minglang pulls out the great soul-feeding pearl, instantly sucking the disbelieving spirit of the old servant right inside. His desperate scream still echoes in the air, I cannot accept this. Ignoring the old man's protests, Zhu Minglang happily inspects his prize, thinking he is indeed a fantastic soul master. This soul bead is much higher quality than the ones from Nanxiang and Penghu, meaning it will fetch a nice price. After carefully tucking it away, Zhu Minglang shifts his focus to the structure directly ahead. A newly constructed stone palace stands there, raising the question if the old servant was stationed here specifically to guard it. Driven by curiosity, he slowly walks inside to take a look. But after looking around, Zhu Minglang feels pretty disappointed to find the entire place completely empty. He thought the legendary grace Min Kui mentioned would be hidden somewhere inside. As if reading his mind, Xinhai suddenly appears and yells straight into his ear. You total idiot, look up! Following the advice, he looks up to find a completely different, mystical space hovering directly above him. Is there another world up there? Zhu Minglang raises his eyes to the ceiling, where a flickering purple light gently radiates, dropping a continuous shower of tiny, glowing sparks. Suddenly, he grabs his head tightly, gritting his teeth in intense pain. Something is not right, his strained voice whispers. As the tiny sparks drift close to him, Zhu Minglang cannot help but ask in curiosity, What on earth is this, Mr. Xinhai? The old guide happily replies that it is a ghost pearl, which should never appear outside the boundary gate. He immediately presses further, asking if this means items from the Dragon Gate actually serve some special purpose. Mr. Xinhai patiently explains that the ghost pearl should never be seen outside the boundary gate like this. Minglang's face turns completely pale as he lets out a disappointed sigh. Mr. Xinghai suddenly snaps in anger, yelling, "Is it possible that you just do not understand plain words? Time is passing extremely fast here. Are you not excited at all?" Minglang timidly replies, "Time moving too quickly might not actually be a good thing." He suddenly pictures his two beloved wives gradually growing old and wrinkled, and quickly blurts out, "I do not want to see my beautiful girls turn all wrinkly in an instant." Gripping the ghost orb, Xinhai continues, "It works just like a dragon tamer's spiritual domain, boosting your cultivation level without cutting your lifespan short." Xinhai frowns slightly, offering a quiet reminder, "Wait, has your Xiaobai not finished its final devolution phase yet? With this item, it might actually wake up much sooner." Hearing this, Minglang's face completely lights up with pure joy. He quickly sweeps up the ghost orbs, muttering under his breath, "Damn it, you should have told me earlier. This is a true blessing." The scene shifts deep inside his spiritual domain, where Minglang, without a single second of hesitation, crushes the ghost orbs, turning them into a magical purple liquid. And here is where it gets crazy. He gently pours that glowing purple liquid over the icy cocoon, causing tiny cracks to rapidly spread as blinding light bursts out. With a massive grin on his face, he excitedly yells, "Finally! I can finally see what is happening inside the ice cocoon." Strange and vivid images begin to manifest clearly within the icy shell, revealing a tiny miniature world where a heavy downpour of rain seems to be pouring down. Right there inside the frozen eggshell, more tiny cracks break open, and a little hand slowly reaches its way out. Moments later, the entire eggshell completely shatters to reveal Bai Qi, leaving Minglang absolutely overwhelmed with raw emotion and happiness. Tears streaming down his face, Minglang cries, "You are really awake, my little Bai Qi. I missed you." Bai Qi also seems to deeply feel the love in his voice, as shiny tears begin welling up in its tiny eyes. Overjoyed, he carefully cradles Bai Qi's egg, whispering softly, "The 4 seasons inside this tiny cocoon world are shifting so rapidly. It seems time really is moving fast, so Bai Qi should be breaking out of his cocoon very soon." Shifting back outside, the moment Minglang steps through the Grand Palace gates, he freezes in absolute surprise. Yu Sha is waiting outside the entrance, holding a struggling Mingyi close, as she anxiously asks, "Did you check the stone palace? Is there anything inside?" He simply extends his hand, wearing a highly mysterious expression as he says, "A very special gift. I think this could only be produced by one single person." Yusha shoves Mingui forward and commands, "You watch over him then. I am going inside to take a quick look." Minglang smiles brightly and nods. After a long while, Yusha slowly walks back out, her face glowing with absolute delight. He watches her walk out in surprise, happily muttering she looks pretty thrilled. "Seems like my sister-in-law got an amazing blessing too." And get this suddenly. That annoying Mingyi jerks his sleeve away, desperately struggling to break free. Mingui dashes inside, shouting, a blessing, here I come." Yusha turns her head back to ask, "Are we not grabbing him?" Minglang smirks, replying, "No need. If he gets a blessing, I can just snatch it. Is it not better to get more treasures?" He curiously asks her, "So, what did you manage to get?" Yusha holds up a small glowing purple sphere, explaining, "Maybe a tiny baby dragon. I can feel a rather powerful dragon aura coming from inside." Yusha casually tosses it directly to Minglang, saying coldly, "Here." Startled, he catches it in a rush, yelling, "This is a dragon egg. Do not just throw it." Minglang's face completely darkens. "Why are you giving this to me? You are the one who adopted it. Why on earth should I raise it for you?" Yusha smiles faintly. "My soul slot is slightly unique. It is only suitable for dragons that possess the primordial dragon bloodline, meaning I cannot just raise any dragon." He pouts in annoyance, muttering, "My soul slots are limited too." "Why are you acting like a fierce tigress?" Yusha growls angrily, threatening, "I told you to raise it, so just raise it. Fine. If you do not want it, I will steam it and use the egg white on my face to stay young forever." Minglang responds in utter panic, "Could you not be so cruel? How could you use such a cute little dragon baby as a face mask?" Cold sweat pours down his forehead as he trembles in fear, not daring to utter a single word back, quietly channeling his spiritual energy into the egg. Minglang hesitantly hands the egg over to the Nuwa dragon, stammering, "Nuwa dragon, you take care of this egg for now." The Nuwa dragon cheers with pure excitement. Okay, I really love this egg." He contemplates deeply, calculating his options since it has not hatched. "I cannot use a soul slot to bring it into my domain. A grown man carrying an egg all day is just too inconvenient, so letting the gentle Nuwa dragon raise it is the perfect move. I am a genius." Minglang suddenly turns around, watching the Nuwa dragon disappear inside as he mutters under his breath, "Wait, that is pretty strange. How on earth was the Nuwa dragon able to take that egg straight into her own spiritual domain?" Inside that spiritual domain, the Nuwa dragon cheerfully explains, "There is a unique beast-protecting pact within my very soul, quite similar to a dragon tamer's contract. Since I just dripped my blood to bound this dragon egg as my guardian beast, that means I can safely bring it right into your spiritual domain. So it can actually develop offline. That is pretty amazing." Vusa stares wide-eyed at him as he stands there blushing like an idiot, with drool dripping from his mouth. She quickly asks with worried eyes, "Why are you suddenly grinning like some kind of villain?" Zhu Minglang quickly covers his mouth, coughing to play it cool. Cough, cough. It is nothing before curiously asking her, "By the way, what kind of divine blessing do you think he got?" Vusa coldly replies, "Once I stepped out." That Grace went completely silent, so it looks like that annoying jerk got absolutely nothing. Min Kuai quickly steps forward to block their path, glaring at them with an incredibly sharp, icy gaze. Raising his hand with a face twisted in pure anger, Min Kuai snarls, "What did you actually get? What on earth did you two actually get from them?" Closing his eyes, Zhu Minglang calmly replies, "Oh, it is nothing. I just heard a pretty sincere whisper in my ear from a living god residing in the nearby sky." He raises his hand, staring off into the far distance as he speaks, slowly saying this young kid is certainly no ordinary person, and in the future, he will definitely light up the world, earning everyone's absolute respect. Min Kuai glares and roars in absolute fury, "You are lying. One of you two must have been blessed by the holy god. I have already calculated the exact timing." Min Kui ponders for a moment before muttering, "Only the two of you went in during this time. Nobody else." Suddenly, Zhu Minglang delivers a brutal slap without hesitation, sending him crashing straight to his knees, coldly warning him, "You brat seriously lack some proper discipline, do you not? And if you do not start speaking politely right now, you already know what your miserable ending will be." Holding his face with deep resentment and burning rage in his eyes, Min Kuai can only stare blankly as they ride off on the fiery Qilin dragon. Vusa urges him on, telling him to hurry up because the main battlefield is waiting for them to join the fight. He excitedly leaps up, talking nonstop life has dreams, and everyone shines in their own unique way. Although this territory is crawling with tribes who love eating raw human flesh, you probably won't run into them if your heavenly luck is strong enough. Vusa rolls her eyes, totally skeptical. Do you not have dragons of your own?" Hearing this, Zhu Minglang panics, nervously stammering in reply, "My Thean track dragon hates riders during battle, and the sword spirit dragon is just way too fast to be stable." Grinning broadly, he gives her a big thumbs up, riding your fire. Qilin dragon is definitely way more comfortable, looking majestic, and fitting for an imposing dragon master. But wait, look at Min Kuai crying out in sheer panic, begging them not to leave him behind. Zhu Minglang crosses his arms, looking down at him with a cold glare. "We are not your parents, so we have no duty to care for some loose-lipped brat like you." Clenching her fists, Vusa angrily yells, "Get down right now." He quickly waves his hands to explain, "Do not misunderstand, Lady Vusa, I was only giving a random example. I did not mean we are a married couple, so do not overthink it." Turning around, he looks at Min Kuai with eyes full of pity. "Anyway, kid, you should just pray for your own survival now." Trembling in fear, Min Kuai stammers out a desperate plea. "Wait, don't leave. I have this rare treasure you definitely need, so please, can you just escort me this once?" He quickly pulls out a strange, sparkling object, explaining that this magic treasure can actually store powerful demon spirits. Since both of you are dragon masters, this is bound to be extremely useful. Plus, it can actually boost your cultivation luck by up to 10 times. Inspecting the sparkling treasure in his hand, Zhu Minglang shoots him a contemptuous glare before speaking up. "Your life is pretty cheap if you think it is only worth some ordinary, low-grade magic tool like this." Trembling on his knees, Min Kuai begs in absolute desperation, "Big brother, this is literally the most valuable item we have left on us." He thinks for a moment, looking at how totally battered the group is, realizing he probably cannot squeeze anything else out of them. "Fine, I will overlook the past and escort you this once, but you have to walk right behind our golden Qilin dragon." You can't help but laugh as Zhu Minglang looks down, mockingly chuckling at Min Kuai trudging below. As someone from the upper world, simply walking behind a dragon's butt should be easy enough for you, right? Min Kuai can only curse his luck, muttering about how this is pure bullying. Far across the vast battlefield, the fire Qilin dragon blazes fiercely, charging at incredible speed straight into the heart of the conflict. The fire Qilin tears through the wind, its billowing flames leaving a brilliant trail of light that absolutely crushes countless enemies along the way. Suddenly, Vusa stops with a worried expression. "There is a bronze-armored army blocking our path, so crossing over might be pretty difficult." Zhu Minglang just smirks with absolute confidence. "No worries, we have the aerial advantage, so let us charge straight ahead. Fire Qilin, charge straight through." Glancing up at the gloomy sky where dark clouds swirl and thunder roars endlessly, he coldly orders, "Turn them all to ash." Out of the dense, swirling mist, a pair of giant wings spreads wide, unleashing blinding bursts of crackling lightning. Qing Zhuo's figure flashes with a brilliant light, spreading his wings as he unleashes a thunderous blow onto the battlefield, sending the enemy screaming in agony amidst a sea of flames. Nan Yusha wipes the sweat from her brow, her eyes wide with terror as she realizes, this is little Qing Zhuo. Before this, it was just a crippled dragon, but who would have thought it could already overpower my fire Qilin dragon by this much? Zhu Minglang chuckles, his tone dripping with sheer mockery. It is all thanks to your Nan family's 10,000-year silver cedar sacred dew. Otherwise, it would just be a handful of ash at the foot of the mountain by now. She snorts in disdain, glaring at the hypocritical Zhu Minglang. Looking up at the sky, Nan Yusha realizes this guy must be hiding a highly unique dragon-rearing method. There is no way little Qing Zhuo could reach this insane level of power with just a single drop of that sacred dew. Elsewhere on the battlefield, a group of massive giants stands in front of the army, surrounding the advancing soldiers of the main army as a murderous roar echoes across the field. A massive giant swings his powerful arms with brute force, creating devastating shockwaves that launch countless soldiers high into the air. One soldier struggles to push himself up, reaching with trembling hands for his distant sword. Suddenly, a barrage of razor-sharp blades erupts from the ground, shocking everyone. Li Yunzi glides gracefully through the sky, raising her glowing sword high. Instantly, countless scattered swords across the battlefield soar into the air, pointing straight toward the heavens as a terrified soldier stammers. Coldly unleashing her ultimate technique, General Li Yunzi commands a devastating spell that shakes space itself, myriad destruction. The howling swords turn in perfect unison, their freezing tips aiming directly at the monstrous giants. Look at this. A blinding storm of swords tears through the sky, raining down like a violent waterfall on the giant ridge frontline. Below them, the massive giants endure the horrific iron rain, their bodies pierced by 1,000 blades as blood splatters everywhere. Looking over the battlefield, the ground is littered with deep craters filled with the mutilated corpses of the giants. The regular soldiers look up in absolute awe, wondering, is this the true power of our female general? She is unstoppable. No wonder she has never lost a campaign with such terrifying power. Who would even dare stand against her? Li Yunzi sweeps her blade in a freezing, razor-sharp arc, yelling out to her army forward, "Charge!" Instantly, the soldiers charge forward with roaring morale, launching a ferocious assault that completely wipes out the enemy forces on the castle walls. High above, a man and a woman appear. The man sneers with a sinister grin, "Your lunch has arrived. Enjoy your meal." He is Wu Wenhong Sha, and beside him stands Wu Luan He Sha, the notorious twin terrors of the Juling city-state. But get this, the earth suddenly shakes violently as the soldiers lose their footing, screaming in terror. Looming through the thick mist in the distance are countless colossal stone statues, standing tall like mountain peaks. They march forward in a massive wave, unleashing a devastating offensive down onto the vanguard. As the stone figures suddenly strike, the soldiers cry out in panic, "This is bad. Those giant statues are coming alive." With a massive rumble, giant stone fists smash down, launching the helpless troops into the air. Zheng Yu roars out, "Do not panic. Execute the split flow formation." Zheng Yu scans the stone giants below, thinking anxiously that the other units are too scattered for his chessboard array to protect them. He quickly analyzes the battlefield, noting that the southeast and north are pinned down by 4 old generals at the center of his formation. Suddenly, Zheng Yu senses an abnormal presence and quickly whips his head around to check. The majestic Qilin dragon charges ahead with absolute fury, pulverizing the stone statues into tiny fragments, as a loud shout echoes Zhu Minglang. Zhu Minglang rushes over to Zheng Yu, calling out. Zheng Yu pleads with him, "Zhu Minglang, Lady Nan, please help me rescue my scattered troops. Our commanders have absolutely no way to deal with these stone giants." Zheng Yu speaks in a heavy tone. "Several vital nodes of my chessboard array are blocked by those 4 colossi of Juling city-state." Nan Yusha confidently replies, "Rest assured, I will destroy them myself." Suddenly, heavy footsteps behind them make the group spin around in alarm. "So it is Ming Ji." Zhu Minglang mutters in surprise before quickly demanding answers. "Just how many earth demons have those bastards managed to breed anyway? Since you claim the Juling clan is a traitor to your divine race, is raising these disgusting earth demons some special technique of your Ming clan as well?" Mingji gnashes his teeth, his face twisted in pure rage as he snarls, "It is the Ming god clan." He scratches his head awkwardly, stammering out that his noble Ming god clan would never breed such filthy, repulsive abominations. "There are many paths in our virtual body cultivation, like the beast or shell forms, but this specific brand of evil energy is strictly banned and punished by us." Zheng Yu and Nan Yusha exchange a grim look as Mingji continues otherwise. "Why would our Ming god clan go out of our way to destroy this trash?" Zhu Minglang narrows his eyes, questioning him, "So your Ming god clan failed to clean up its own house, and even let them come here to harm people?" Min Kuai roars in anger. "These trash must have soaked their bodies in blood medicine for a whole year, making their bodies suitable hosts for those earth demons, creating a terrifying symbiotic bond with the monsters nesting deep inside them." Zhu Minglang continues to question him with deep skepticism, asking if there is any way to completely eliminate these earth demons. Min Kuai quickly turns his head to reply, "There must be an earth demon king here, and we have to kill it." Seriously, that hideous earth demon is basically just a giant, bloated earthworm. Trin Du points toward the tower, where thick, dark energy is billowing. Zhu Minglang, "If I am not wrong, That Earth Demon King is probably on the high tower of the military base over there. Up in the sky, fierce dragons are launching a massive assault on the tower, led by Li Yunzi. Trindu clasps his hands, speaking with absolute confidence. Leave the giant generals of the city-state to me, Zhu Minglang. You go help the female commander. Zhu Minglang nods and tells him to be careful. Standing amidst her massive army, she looks up at the towering structure as a man and a woman mock her from above. They sneer. Li Yunzi, we heard you fell for that lowly beggar who served you in the dungeon. The vile couple continues, throwing insults. Your mother once called me lowly. But if she knew from the underworld what a worthless thing you turned out to be, would she turn into a raging demon? She glares at Li Yunzi with a triumphant smirk. Li Yunzi's eyes flash with absolute ice, staring back at her tormentor, who continues mocking her. Your power is not even a fraction of your mother's strength. Losing her cool, she swings her sword and roars. She was not even my match. Do you really think you can stand against me? She continues to mock her, her voice dripping with sheer contempt. Since your family once did my clan a small favor, I spared you, sisters. Yet you had the nerve to kill my daughter. You really have no gratitude at all. Li Yunzi slowly looks back, her eyes filled with old memories. 20 years ago, I met a group of people fleeing for their lives, including a woman curled up in the snow like a dog. Suddenly, Li Yunzi is pulled deep into her past. She clearly remembers her gentle mother tightly holding her hand and speaking to her. That day, I made the worst mistake of my life. She softly asked me, do you want to save her? Li Yunzi was just a small child back then, naively answering yes. Now, that wicked woman sneers with even greater arrogance. And here is the heartbreaking part. My small act of kindness cost my sisters their lives, and made my mother a sacrifice just so I could live. Li Yunzi continues speaking, her voice cracking with deep emotion. And ever since that day, the nightmare of my mother's death has constantly haunted me. In her mind, she sees her beloved mother gently telling her that as the oldest, she must take care of her sisters while a crying little girl weeps for her mother. The wicked woman covers her mouth, her high-pitched laughter echoing with absolute amusement. So, are you trying to say the person I should be most grateful to is you? Li Yunzi falls silent for a brief moment before speaking, her voice firm. No, my mother hesitated back then for a good reason. And time has proved none of you deserve to live. Your survival was entirely because of my mistake. With cold determination in her eyes, Li Yunzi stares straight at the woman and declares that your total destruction today will also be by my hands. The villainess spreads her arms wide, laughing hysterically at the sheer threat. Don't make me laugh with your current cultivation level. You are probably just a basic King Realm cultivator at best. Suddenly, massive flocks of blackbirds swarm from every direction as her gaze turns incredibly sharp and sinister. She hisses, how can a mere mortal like you stand against my dark storm of birds? Once I take your life and claim your soul under this great heaven, there is no doubt I will rule over this entire realm. Instantly, the entire tower is plunged into darkness, under a massive sea of black birds. A young soldier reports, his voice trembling with sheer panic. Commander, if our flying dragon camp is forced to push through this swarm of evil birds, our army will be completely wiped out. We should fall back, assist the other units, and dismantle the 3 other corners of the fortress wall instead. That is our only hope to divide and destroy this overwhelming army. Li Yunzi slowly looks up at the sky, her eyes filled with deep worry as she speaks. What you said is true, but sending low-level soldiers against this flock of evil birds is basically a suicide mission. They would be flying straight to their deaths. Suddenly, a dazzling streak of light cuts through the dark sky, unleashing violent lightning that strikes down the aggressive swarm. A soldier gasps, pointing toward the clouds. Commander, look up there. Right out of the flashing lightning, Zhu Minglang and Qing Zhuo calmly descend. Down below, the soldiers shout his name. One of them screams out in absolute awe, look, it is the legendary Azure Dragon Shepherd Lord, Zhu Minglang. He single-handedly tore that entire bird swarm apart. He truly lives up to being the future husband handpicked by the queen, completely unmatched. With a chilly look, he gives the command. Thon Trock, don't let a single Vudia within 100 miles survive. Instantly, Thon Trock raises his hand, throwing a massive lightning orb directly into the screeching flock. Violent surges of lightning envelop the monster birds like sharp blades, tearing their flesh to pieces. Screaming in agony, blood splatters everywhere as the beasts fall from the sky with shattered wings. From the battlefield below, the soldiers raise their weapons in unison, their morale piercing the sky as they roar to fire everyone up. We cannot fail the expectations of our queen. Let us dye this frozen peak red. Victory to Li Xuan. Dye the peak red, Li Xuan will triumph. The dense web of electricity created by Thon Trock traps the entire flock, cutting off any escape as they thrash about in pure, hopeless agony. Looking down with a heavy gaze, Zhu Minglang's heart sinks with worry. Why is my wife out there all alone? Seeing Li Yunzi standing completely isolated on this brutal battlefield, he feels panic rising. His wife has always been calm and level-headed, never one to let anger cloud her judgment, especially as a commander. There is no way she would dive straight into danger unless, and that is when he charges in, yelling out that he has arrived to help her. Angrily pointing to the top of the tower, he demands answers from the two figures standing up there. "Is that the woman who set you up?" he asks. Gritting her teeth, Li Yunzi replies with a dark expression that she is also her mother's killer. On the high tower, she folds her arms, staring down at them with pure malice in her eyes. Zhu Minglang's eyes go wide in shock as things click. No wonder that female assassin from the peak looks so incredibly familiar to him. Back when he first woke up in that prison, he saw a strange woman, who turned out to be her daughter. A memory flashes in his mind of a girl with a face identical to his, as he continues speaking with a sarcastic smirk. No wonder she has those hideous, sly eyes. Turns out her mother is just as ugly on the inside. He asks if she plans on taking the woman's life with her own hands, and Li Yunzi coldly agrees, warning him that the fortress is heavily guarded by powerful masters, including Yutsat. Zhu Minglang just chuckles, his eyes overflowing with pure confidence. He tells her he will carry her up, and she should not waste a single bit of energy before confronting her enemy. "You only need to focus on landing the killing blow while I handle their entire army," he says, and with a soft, affectionate smile, she agrees to leave it to him. She gently tells him that he has become so incredibly strong and mature, absolutely radiating this unbreakable confidence. Back when they first met by chance, he was nothing like this, making him smile with a teasing glint in his eyes. "Everyone has to grow up eventually, Li Yunzi," he says. He asks if she only remembers him because he was once a complete embarrassment in her life, but looking him dead in the eyes, she admits that while he was once her shame, but right now, he is absolutely the proudest, most reliable pillar of support she has in her entire life. Squeezing his hand as if never wanting to let go, a choked-up Li Yunzi promises she will always remember him. With her eyes shimmering with absolute joy, she admits it is an honor to fight right by his side as they both share a brilliant smile. Zhu Minglang looks into her eyes with a soft laugh. Destiny already decided we belong together. Instantly, they mount the sword and rocket high into the sky. Watch this. They quickly slip through the gates of the ancient tower, and the moment they land, he softly warns her that the enemies ahead are going to be tough. He tells her to stay sharp, but she only gives a quiet nod before walking ahead, leaving him staring blankly after her. Standing with her arms crossed, the evil woman glares at Li Yunzi with pure contempt, mocking them both. Mocking them for holding hands with such a lowborn guy, she says they deserve each other, as Li Yunzi's face turns completely to ice. The sorcery of Fog Island is no joke, yet she wields it so easily, proving she is far from an ordinary foe. She waves her hand, letting a strange energy pulse through the air. Summoning countless flying beasts out of thin air, she sneers at them as they swarm the sky, mocking her opponent. Since she knows that much, she should realize she stands zero chance, boasting that even without her spirit birds, these dark bat dragons are more than enough to crush her. Li Yunzi narrows her eyes, her voice turning dead serious as she notes that she simply rarely deals with dark monsters. Keeping them active takes constant energy, meaning once they are destroyed, reforming these bat dragons will be nearly impossible, especially since they have way less dark energy than those birds. The cold truth hits the villain like a slap in the face, sending her into a shaking, screaming rage. She shrieks in fury, but Li Yunzi calmly notes that without strong dark energy, she can easily wipe these beasts out. Li Yunzi swings her blade, tearing open the fabric of space with razor-sharp lines of brilliant golden light. Like invisible spider silk, the golden threads trap the bat dragons and instantly reduce them to ash, as her exploding flames consume everything. Those weak demonic bat dragons get their heads sliced clean off, crashing down to the dirt. She panics, raising her hand to shield her eyes from the blinding fiery glare while grinding her teeth in pure rage. Somehow, you got the upper hand for a moment. But my demonic bat dragons are actually quite resilient. Just wait, I can summon them back in a second. Her venomous gaze locks onto Zhu Minglang's receding back as she speaks with total hatred. That worthless pretty boy has already been beaten to a pulp, so absolutely no one is coming to save you. Li Yunzi watches his figure with complete trust in her eyes, whispering he has never once let me down. Slimy legs engulfed in an eerie flame suddenly appear right before his face. A harsh voice rasps out, "So you are Zhu Minglang, master of the Kanglon's sacred phoenix dragon." Bak Hung, the leader of the four heroes of the Juling City State, points forward and roars like thunder. He thrusts his finger right at our main character and yells at the top of his lungs, "Too bad your azure dragon managed to survive its heavenly tribulation, but it definitely won't survive me." He smirks, half closing his eyes with pure arrogance, whispering, "Well, you sure talk a big game." Bak Hung erupts with a creepy golden flame as he slowly reaches forward, his voice dripping with intense greed. "I feast on dragon flesh and drink nothing but their blood. Every single powerful dragon digested in my stomach makes my soul body quite a bit stronger. I really wonder how that azure dragon of yours is going to taste." Zhu Minglang calmly responds, his eyes totally unfazed. "We will just have to see if you even have the right to taste it." The guy raises his hand, summoning a fierce, vicious dragon with teeth like daggers that charges straight at him at a terrifying speed. Thon Trock smoothly folds its massive wings across its chest. This creates a rock-solid defensive stance. Look at those thick, chaotic arcs of lightning wrapping around its body, setting off deafening explosions that shake the entire battlefield. Zhu Minglang's eyes widen, completely shocked inside. Buck Hung is a mid-level sovereign king, and the godlike dragon form power he wields is definitely not something to be taken lightly. The entire extreme continent has practically never seen such high-level martial arts cultivation. Right now, it all depends on whether the shadow form of the Fiendstar Dragon can blend into his opponent's dark aura. Buck Hung throws his head back, laughing with absolute, maniacal glee. Your Azure Dragon lacks skill, and its dragon core hasn't even reached king level yet. This dragon meat is already mine. Zhu Minglang whispers to his Fiendstar, his gaze remaining rock-solid. Fiendstar Dragon, victory or defeat depends entirely on this strike. Suddenly, the Fiendstar Dragon materializes right behind Buck Hung. Its massive head lunges forward in a brutal ambush, making the man let out a terrified, high-pitched scream. Startled by the sudden gust of wind behind him, he spins around, eyes flashing with anger. Where did this wild dragon come from, trying to backstab me? Without hesitation, he channels all his energy into his legs, unleashing a thunderous kick while shouting aloud. Dragon Shadow Kick! His attack tears Dangerous! Buck Hung grinds his teeth hard, clenching his fists as anger completely takes over his face. Damn it! He mutters, this dragon's saliva is actually highly toxic. I must use black flames to burn the wound, stopping the bleeding and neutralizing the poison. Up in the sky, Thon Trock spreads its giant wings, looking down with absolute defiance now. It is my turn. Countless emerald lightning bolts rain down from above, striking Buck Hung directly. He writhes in pure agony, as his skin burns black and his clothes get shredded, screaming in deep pain toward the heavens. The terrifying shockwaves from this move shatter the ground beneath his feet into a million pieces. You can see his flesh peeling off in that blazing sea of fire as Buck Hung screams in absolute despair. I really underestimated you, Twin Dragon King, Zhu Minglang. Thon Trock and the Fiendstar Dragon land behind him, their sharp gazes locked onto the enemy. Zhu Minglang coldly replies, glad you finally realized. Meanwhile, the flames surrounding his opponent's body gradually turn into a deep blue. Buck Hung frowns, glaring with utter rage. But I will not lose, he growls under his breath. He hunches over, looking as vicious as a wounded beast. Behind him, a massive green flame erupts, literally burning the very space around him. Li Yunzi looks on with great worry, quickly warning Zhu Minglang. Watch out, this is a dangerous berserk state that costs the user's own soul. He nods calmly, reassuring her, do not worry, I know exactly how to handle this. Issuing a sharp, decisive command, Zhu Minglang shouts, Fiendstar Dragon, it is your turn to fight. The Fiendstar Dragon immediately flaps its wings, soaring high into the sky as a massive pool of energy condenses into a deep purple sphere, radiating a terrifying, ominous crimson glow. Inside the sphere, violent streaks of lightning constantly flash, sending massive shockwaves through the air. With an earth-shattering explosion, the massive sphere of energy crashes straight down, landing a lethal, devastating blow. It leaves his body writhing in agonizing pain. With his eyes rolled back, a scowling Buck Hung glares up at a figure standing atop the towering fortress wall. How long are you going to just watch? Get over here and help me already. Engu Van stands on the high wall, leaning over to look down while surrounded by a terrifying blue fire. He mutters eerily, I just want to see if you can actually force him to go all out. Zhu Minglang tenses up. He warns everyone that this is Haksat, the strongest beast in the entire city-state. Buck Hung gasps in sheer terror, asking if that kid is seriously still holding back his real power. No way. He already summoned the Twin Dragon Kings, so does he actually have another trump card left? Nuvan's eyes widen as he screams to watch out, just as Mo Zie charges in like a fierce tornado. Thanks to Nguvan's warning, he barely dodges Mo Shi's blade as the strike tears through the air. Pure brutality. It leaves a dark, blood-red trail as his severed arms hit the cold ground. He falls, muttering that this sword is the Dragon King, hiding in the shadows just to strike him down. Coughing up a massive clump of fresh blood, his voice is filled with shock as he wonders how this brat could possibly summon 3 Dragon Kings. Nuvan smirks, muttering that they have spent way too long living in easy peace. That is why your reflexes are so dull. You need to be like me, drowning in blood and death, because only then will you avoid getting beaten so easily by some random young brat. Silence. Standing before Buck Hung's corpse, Zhu Minglang falls deep into thought. Since Haksat warned him earlier, it proves the bastard clearly felt the presence of the Dragon Sword spirit. With his strength, he could have easily saved Buck Hung. Did his insane arrogance make him believe he is completely invincible, leading him to just ignore it? Nuvan crosses his arms, smirking as he asks a question. He asks if Zhu Minglang is wondering why he did not save his ally. While Zhu Minglang tenses up, realizing this demon mark looks quite familiar from somewhere. Nguvan grins, his tone dripping with pure malice. Everyone needs to think for themselves instead of just moving on autopilot, and frankly, having him dead works out much better for me. Nguvan's eyes stretch wide open, twitching erratically like a pair of disturbed, frantic birds. Honestly, this is pure nightmare fuel, making Zhu Minglang grit his teeth as cold sweat drenches his palms. The Earth Demon Emperor is actually here, because Haksat gouged out his own eye to let the demon nest inside. From the bloody pool beneath Bakhung's corpse, a disgusting, slimy worm crawls out, wriggling its body slow and steady. Without warning, the creature dives straight into Bakhung's empty eye socket to begin a gruesome fusion, causing the dead body to violently snap awake with countless gross red legs. Above, his human torso glares with blood-red eyes. The surrounding area begins to warp, stained in a sinister purple and red hue that brings an overwhelming aura of death. Zhu Minglang stands frozen. He stares in horror at the mutated Bakhung right before him. Deep underground, countless massive worms are slithering around, causing the entire area to shake as if it is about to shatter. The swarm bursts through the surface, revealing their massive, terrifyingly long bodies. Now the real nightmare begins. Nguvan laughs while Zhu Minglang goes totally pale, realizing they are facing an entire army of these worms. Hundreds of these vile creatures emerge, ready to devour the flesh of the entire military force. Terrified soldiers scatter in total panic, screaming to fall back, while Nguvan cracks a wicked smile, his voice rising in pitch as he enjoys the chaos. Since you came to conquer us, we warmly welcome you. Slithering among the worms is the flame user from earlier, now mutated with a disgusting centipede tail, while Nguvan mocks that they are always running low on feed. Thank you so much for bringing us this massive supply of fresh meat. Zhu Minglang keeps his cool despite the danger, calmly asking if Nguvan raised them, while the villain exudes a thick, dark aura, showing off his twisted creations. These are thousands of times stronger than your pathetic dragon tamers, and no matter how many armies you send, they will just end up as worm food. Decisively, he draws his treasured sword, Moshe, his expression hardening as he stares him down. He mocks him, asking why he is so proud of such a filthy, disgusting, and weak creature. Making sure his insults cut deep, Zhu Minglang continues to show his absolute contempt for the enemy. This earth demon you worship like a god is nothing more than a simple maggot beneath my blade. Instantly, his sword art pushes to the absolute limit, gathering energy into a majestic dragon shape ready to crush everything, while Zhu Minglang holds his head high with an equally terrifying presence. A blinding golden light flashes, forcing Nguvan to block his eyes in sheer agony as he shrieks out in horror. What? He screams, while Zhu Minglang's face hardens, the pure killing intent in his eyes manifesting into raw power. Sword Star, he mutters, lowering his stance to prepare for the ultimate draw. The blade's friction with the air builds a faint, heavy pressure. It is a legendary sword technique that draws the dragon blade using the very heavens and earth as its scabbard. Makta vibrates slightly, letting out a sharp ring like a dragon's roar shaking the very void. He raises his hand, slashing horizontally as surging sword energy instantly rips those lowly worm creatures into bloody pieces. He declares that this is his absolute strongest sword-drawing technique. In the past, he used it to sever the earth veins of the extreme continent, sending Vutho plummeting straight into the void seas surrounding Li Xuan. And check this out, far from a standard strike, Zhu Minglang actually leaps forward, leaving Li Yunzi to scream in absolute shock at his terrifying speed. His blade instantly erupts with a crimson glow, lunging forward like a living beast hunting its prey. Absolutely everything in its path gets cracked and utterly shattered. That red aura isn't normal fire, it is a concentrated mass of bloody energy, completely shredding the swarm of worms. The surging energy even rips up the earth, dragging every single worm to the surface to slice them into dust. Seeing his proudest creation get shredded like cheap straw by Zhu Minglang, Nguvan completely loses his cool, muttering that it is impossible. His eyes bulge, filled with bloodshot rage as he realizes his beloved demon army and the massive mountain fortress he spent so much time building have been completely wiped out by a single strike. Who on earth is this monster? But instead of backing down, he unleashes a massive, uncontrollable wave of deathly energy from deep inside his body. Fine, he snaps. I underestimated you. Suddenly, slimy, wriggling wormtails sprout right from Nguvan's chest as he descends into pure madness. He screams that he fused with the earth demon long ago, and its king will grant him ultimate, supreme power. Standing on the torn-up battlefield, Zhu Minglang slowly turns his head to analyze his foe, realizing this guy was already a mid-tier king-rank fighter. Fusing with an earth demon grants him wicked power far beyond his actual cultivation, which explains why he dared to challenge the entire extreme continent. Nguvan leaps into the air, death energy swirling around him to boost his strength to the absolute maximum. Smirking arrogantly, he yells that he is taking his life. With those words, he dives down like a meteor straight toward the young man. Zhu Minglang quickly raises his blade to guard his chest, but his foe is already right in his face. His entire vision gets blocked out, making it incredibly hard to fight back. Not good, Zhu Minglang thinks. His presence is completely masked by this death energy. I cannot track his position or see his next move. Seizing the moment, Nuvan thrusts forward with a heavily mutated arm, roaring that he will shred him. But luckily Zhu Minglang blocks it just in time. But this is a losing battle. Zhu Minglang frowns at his blade and suddenly yells out, "Sword domain!" He slashes in a wide arc to blast him back, yelling to Makta to trust its instincts before the real deathmatch begins. "I trust your intuition," he says. "You have to find her." Pushing the blade forward, Zhu Minglang radiates a massive wave of killing intent, ready to rip his enemy to shreds. "Let's overwhelm him together," he urges as an endless rain of eerie red sword strikes pours down from above, trapping Ngurvan mid-air and forcing him to stay defensive, even though the dark death energy around him continues to boil. Even his eye sockets have been taken over by slimy, wriggling wormtails. Absolutely disgusting. Yet the beast finds it harder to block his incoming crimson flying dragon strike. Just like that, the monster's grotesque body is blown backward, slamming hard into a massive stone statue. Pressing forward, Zhu Minglang instantly leaps into the air and raises his blade high above his head. He prepares his next truly majestic attack, ready to strike again. Now, it might look like he has the upper hand here, but Zhu Minglang knows this crazy freak won't go down easily. It is absolutely crucial to destroy the Earth Demon Emperor hiding inside his eye sockets, otherwise none of his attacks will actually matter. Right at that exact second, another slimy worm begins crawling out of the villain's throat. Its wet, slimy flesh makes a truly sickening, squelching sound. Utterly repulsed, Zhu Minglang instantly kicks him hard in the jaw, swearing under his breath. Disgusting. This only hardens his resolve to end this fast. He cannot let this grotesque freak slide around in front of him any longer. No more holding back. Zhu Minglang raises his sword to the sky to unleash one of his ultimate moves, the falling sword technique. Alongside his own weapon, a colossal projection of Makta appears high in the sky, its hilt vibrating with a resonance that could shatter the world. He calls forth Heaven's Shadow and instantly swings down, ordering the massive blade to strike. A devastating explosion rocks the entire area. Ngurvan screams in agony as dark mist erupts from his mouth, clearly taking massive damage from the blow. The earth around him completely collapses, leaving a massive, deep crater behind. And yet, that dark tide of death energy remains completely unharmed, swirling around him. Nuvan stands there entirely uninjured, but his voice suddenly morphs into a high-pitched, furious screech, screaming that he will rip him to absolute shreds. Startled, his pupils shrink in absolute terror as he stares right at his foe. His voice changed again. Is he mutating even further? Ngurvan roars, his dark death energy erupting like jagged black bones. It stretches out like giant claws, reaching in every direction to tear enemies apart as the dark mist spreads. The chaotic energy completely distorts the field, forcing Zhu Minglang to squint through the darkness, but he can't see a single thing anymore. Behind him, his sword, Than Makta, vibrates violently, forcing Zhu Minglang to instantly look back. Seeing the black fog lunging to grab him, he unleashes his Big Dipper sword technique, leaping backward with the grace of a swallow to dodge the deadly strike. And when that attack completely misses, Nuvan grows absolutely furious as his body starts to crack, sounding like something is trying to rip right through his bones. Disgusting earth demon wormtails begin sprouting all over his flesh, packing together in a sickening, writhing mass. Constantly running like this is not a long-term plan. He mutters under his breath, "This is bad. If I can't destroy this earth demon, there's no way to defeat Ngurlone. I have to slay the Earth Demon King in one clean hit, but how?" Right now, Ngurvan completely casts aside his human form, fully mutating into a monstrous centipede with two massive pincers, leaving only his head looking remotely human. Seeing his opponent's power grow increasingly bizarre, Zhu Minglang freezes in shock. Another transformation. How is he supposed to fight this? Right when he's hanging on by a thread, look who steps in. Suddenly, a familiar figure on the city wall calls out, "Zhu Minglang, come to me." He recognizes the woman instantly and shouts in disbelief, "It's Li Yunzi." Even though she's standing right in the middle of that deadly mist, Li Yunzi remains completely unharmed as glowing golden threads stretch from her body, repeating her call once more. "Zhu Minglang, come to me." Seeing his savior, his face lights up with relief as he yells back, "My wife. I'm coming." He slowly makes his way toward the woman he loves. Every step and glance is filled with caution, yet his lips slowly curve into a proud, confident smile. He always thought Li Yunzi was a simple swordmaster, but now he realizes her true power isn't the weapon, it's her willpower. Li Yunzi ignores his admiring gaze entirely, keeping her focus locked on gathering her energy. This mental power can actually materialize into any weapon, including razor-sharp swords like the one before them, a legendary power fueled entirely by her own formidable mind. Nulone originally had no intention of stepping into the battle, but seeing the two of them start preparing their array makes her panic. This is bad. They are teaming up to defeat my brother. Gritting her teeth, she quickly forms a hand seal to summon her swarm of monstrous pets, refusing to sit back and watch. Huge Wulong dragons covered in death energy suddenly burst forth like a rushing red waterfall, raising a thick black mist that completely blinds everyone in the area. Spotting his sister joining the fray, Ngurvan gets a massive surge of energy and laughs maniacally. Keep turning up the heat for me. Just like that, the battle lines are officially drawn. Now, the real clash begins against these grotesque, half-human, half-insect abominations. Zhu Minglang tries to assess the field, noting their enemy's teamwork, but before he can even finish his sentence, Li Yunzi cuts him off, having already calculated their next move. Although those dark forces might have reached the high king tier, they are still just relying on a small amount of death energy that infects those Wulong dragons. I just need to deal with the Wulong, she says, immediately unleashing her Star Kui Mulang technique. Her delicate beams of light instantly shoot forward to form brilliant stellar constellations, easily piercing through the massive swarm of Wulong dragons with zero effort. Since Ngurlone is physically linked to those beasts, she immediately takes heavy damage and coughs up blood. Curse them! Seeing his precious insect swarm annihilated, Nuvan, now almost fully mutated into the giant earth demon, launches into a frenzied, mindless assault. Give me back my son, you filthy human insect! Zhu Minglang instantly leaps in front of her to shield her, raising Thon Mok Ta to block those razor-sharp claws while shouting, "Watch out!" Quickly sizing up their opponent, he selflessly takes on the brunt of the danger, knowing she cannot withstand this beast's toxic death aura. Li Yunzi, stand back, let me handle him, he commands. She quickly nods in agreement, and Zhu Minglang half closes his eyes, channeling his overwhelming raw strength to prepare his next attack. His swirling spiritual energy suddenly erupts outward like terrifying demonic claws. Without even opening his eyes, his grip on Mak Ta tightens as he cold-heartedly whispers, "Monsters like you, I will slaughter every single one." Bracing his feet, he lunges forward with explosive speed, roaring out broken wing. Suddenly, a bizarre, ancient runic mark blazes across the side of Zhu Minglang's face, making his senses sharper and clearer than ever before. I always use the wind to train my sword, so I understand its laws completely. Now, relying on that sheer speed, I will destroy the Earth Demon King with my fastest strike. Realizing this, Zhu Minglang shows no mercy. He grips the hilt with both hands, throws his entire weight forward, and unleashes a devastating downward slash. The strike instantly tears Nguvan's monstrous limbs to pieces. It looks like the battle is completely over, but for a beast like him, even this isn't enough to put him down. Nguvan's face fills with pure panic. What is happening? How can his opponent move this incredibly fast? The impact is savage. Seeing his enemy still alive, Zhu Minglang grits his teeth in frustration, thinking it's not enough. He needs to be even faster. Standing below and watching the clash, Li Yunzi immediately realizes that something is terribly wrong with him. Zhu Minglang freezes as thin threads of blood spurt from his mouth, and even his eyes start bleeding heavily. Damn it, he thinks, going too fast is breaking my own body, the wind is tearing my skin apart. Li Yunzi's heart aches for him, but she can do nothing. She can only yell out in panic, "Zhu Minglang, you don't have much time." He quickly conjures up a massive sphere of lightning. He traps Nguvan inside the electric cage, praying this final attack can completely destroy the Dirnmachi Huang once and for all. While the monster's fate remains unknown, Zhu Minglang coughs up a pool of blood. Dark runes spread rapidly across his skin, forcing him to halt his assault. The ultimate move is finally unleashed, but the physical toll on his body is simply too massive. But human flesh has limits. It blocks his higher path. Luckily, the Kim Lin Long's Min Van Hualang sword shielded his body, otherwise he would have exploded. Just when pure despair sets in, a beam of light suddenly pierces from above. Look at that sky. Zhu Minglang shields his eyes from the blinding radiance, his heart trembling with sudden, profound realization. The heavenly light seems to fill his fractured space. At the same time, it begins to refine the sword in his grip. This is using the sky as a forge, turning sword strokes into fire, tempering the blade itself. Looking down at Mok Ta in his hand, he wakes up to the truth and shouts, "So that's it. For the Thien Tui Kim, this is a much higher sword level." But as Zhu Minglang celebrates, a disgusting, slimy aura suddenly erupts. Look at that, even his mountain-slaying sword could not kill it. He leaps back, way back, clearing the danger zone immediately. Nguvan's flesh has been completely shredded by Zhu Minglang, yet his bare white bones keep moving forward, forcing the boy to sigh. Oh God, has this evil brand already burned into his bones? He thought the Dirmachi Huang only lived in his eye socket, feeding on Ngurlone's blood, but it has actually infected his marrow. Zhu Minglang grits his teeth in fury, his mind racing as he wonders how this monster's life force can be so strong. Seeing Zhu Minglang cornered, Nguvan bursts into an arrogant laugh, mocking him for breaking his own body just to forge that single blade. You left yourself battered and broken, he sneers, while I only shed the useless flesh that was holding me back. Zhu Minglang stands firm on the open ground as the dust clears, revealing the white skeleton swaying unsteadily right before his eyes. Cold sweat drops down his face. Right now, he feels pretty helpless. If even that can't kill you, he mutters, I am seriously starting to wonder if you share blood with cockroaches. Nguvan chuckles, a faint gleam lighting up his empty eye sockets as he tells him he can only talk tough. Meanwhile, Zhu Minglang's right arm trembles with sharp pain. His face darkens as he realizes that even though he is too injured to unleash his strongest skills, he refuses to give up now. He closes his eyes. Inside, his mind is steady. His understanding of the sword's true essence has ascended to a much higher realm, and the Kim Lin Long is now sharper and better tempered than ever before. Annoyed by this calm, fearless attitude, Ngurvan screams in rage, demanding to know why he refuses to open his eyes and look at him. Are you too terrified to look? Nguvan mocks him. But Zhu Minglang ignores him, completely focused on his sudden enlightenment. Drawing the sword demands absolute concentration. There is simply no room for any distractions. He gently wraps his fingers around the hilt, applying little force but holding it with absolute stability. Glowing red threads multiply rapidly around him. As Mokta is raised, a sharp hum echoes out, causing the underground tunnels to tremble. He does not need his eyes, trusting his dragon spirit completely. Frankly, Ngurvan has absolutely no clue his opponent just unlocked a massive power-up as he charges blindly. Die, the beast roars. But the boy's eyes snap open with pure, cold rage. At that exact second, Zhu Minglang draws his blade close to his ear, unleashing a burst of crimson flames that explodes outward in every direction. His body grows as light as a swallow, gliding forward with blinding speed, using his palm as a sheath to unleash a sky-shattering strike. In his mind, he repeats his vow, even lightning itself will be severed by this blade. He flashes past his enemy in a blur, his sword delivering multiple powerful slashes in a single, fluid arc. Heavy dust clouds rise as both fighters stand completely still, leaving it impossible to tell who took the fatal blow. But they both know the truth. Zhu Minglang slowly sheathes his sword, standing tall on the flat dirt. Nguvan was just acting so incredibly arrogant a moment ago. But look at him now, his skeletal body is literally cracking into pieces. No. Zhu Minglang stays completely calm, without a single trace of arrogance, as he finally opens his mouth. The moment I mastered the sword domain, you were already dead. As his voice fades, Nguvan's body turns to fine dust and scatters, vanishing completely from the cycle of reincarnation with no hope of rebirth. Nulone instantly starts shaking, her face turning pale with sheer terror. How can this be happening? She frantically asks herself. This should be absolutely impossible. They told me they would find some lowly beggar to humiliate Li Yunzi so she could never recover. Zhu Minglang, now completely calm and free of killing intent, walks over to tell her the news. My side is all wrapped up. Hearing this, Ngulone shivers. Is this guy seriously supposed to be some lowly beggar? He is clearly a sword immortal, wandering the mortal world. Back on Li Yunzi's side, Zhu Minglang decides to step back and just crosses his arms to watch the drama unfold. Since you wanted a one-on-one fight, I will let you have your one-on-one. I will not interfere. Li Yunzi nods in approval. Good. Hearing this, Nulone panics even more and immediately spins around to flee. No way. I have to run. My brother was fused with the Earth Demon Emperor, and he was the strongest warrior in this entire city-state. With him dead, every single giant general and demon statue in this place will immediately lose their power. Their evil energy will plummet too. But the real reason she is running for her life is simple. She is absolutely no match for Li Yunzi in a fight. Sensing her plan, Li Yunzi unleashes her energy from behind, locking directly onto Nulone to pin her down. Oh, trying to run? Not a chance. Just watch her struggle as Ngulone screams in agony, her human disguise cracking and scales popping up on her face. She grits her teeth, screaming in panic inside her head. No, I cannot afford to die here. Suddenly, something crawls up from deep beneath the ground. It is another baby witch dragon, squirming into the light. It cannot fly, only slithering across the dirt. This pathetic creature is actually Ngulone's true form, leaving Li Yunzi totally stunned as she watches it crawl. She is breaking apart. Nulone scrambles to flee, zigzagging across the field to throw off Li Yunzi's focus. Before anyone can react, the beast dives straight into a dark puddle ahead. Hiding underwater with only her eyes showing, Nulone shivers. If I stay down here, there is no way she will ever find me. Yet Li Yunzi just watches the path with total composure, her face showing absolutely zero signs of panic or doubt. The path you chose is still a dead end. Down in the dark sewer pipe, Nulone swims forward desperately, constantly trying to cheer herself on. Almost there, the exit is right ahead. I just need to get out now. Sensing fresh, open air ahead, she happily pops her head up, believing she has finally escaped. But check this out, instead of freedom, she gets a sharp blade pinning her to the dirt. Fresh blood spills from her mouth as she glares back, her eyes filled with absolute hatred. Li Yunzi looks down coldly, completely crushing her target as she speaks. 20 years of this, and it ends today. With the sword still buried deep in her back, Ngulone ignores the soul-shredding agony and screams out in absolute rage. Li Yunzi, you are nothing but a pawn of heaven and earth, a mere toy for the heaven sovereign. Li Yunzi closes her eyes, refusing to waste another second crying over her past. She swings her hand down, completely crushing this annoying threat and putting an end to a 20-year grudge. Zhu Minglang, being extremely cautious as usual, steps up with a thought. These monsters always have bizarre dark magic up their sleeves, so we should probably slash her a few more times just to be absolutely safe. Li Yunzi has no objections to that and nods her head in agreement. Moments later, he calmly turns and walks away, leaving Ngulone's cold corpse pinned to the ground by pitch-black swords made of pure energy. As dusk falls, the dangerous battle ends. But Li Yunzi stays busy, issuing strict orders to her soldiers. Tear this entire city apart and do not leave a single demon worm alive. We cannot let them recover. The soldiers shout back in agreement. Seeing the massive horde of monsters they uncover, Zhu Minglang asks a burning question. How in the world did they breed so many of these earth demons anyway? Knowing the answer, she easily breaks it down for him. The age wave does not just affect sacred beasts, it also has a massive impact on these dark creatures too. They probably used this golden opportunity to multiply their forces in secret. Zhu Minglang starts to connect the dots, but some things still make no sense, especially regarding how this place operated from the very start. This mountain city was always waiting for the World Dragon Gate to descend. But how did they even know about the Age Wave and the Boundary Dragon Gate? Instead of giving a straight answer, Li Yunzi slowly points her arm toward the sky as she replies. It is hard to explain. After all, we still know so little about this vast world. Getting tired of the heavy topic, she quickly changes the subject to ask if he has obtained the grace yet. She wants to visit that place too. Hearing this, Zhu Minglang brightens up and nods his head. He agrees to take her. It is quite a long journey, and before they know it, night falls. They are now standing in a bizarre ruin filled with ancient, crumbling stone pillars. He looks around, completely amazed by it all. The corpses in the garden have somehow vanished on their own. This place is truly strange. Li Yunzi pauses, focusing her senses to listen. There seems to be a sound. Zhu Minglang catches it quickly too. It is coming from the music hall. He suggests they check it out. She does not answer right away, but deeply ponders something, only nodding calmly after a moment. Seeing this, Zhu Minglang watches her with a heart full of worry. Unlike Namversa, she does not seem to deeply miss her mother. Instead, she constantly remains extremely guarded. Thinking of this, he cannot help but quicken his pace to get a bit closer to his wife. This music hall probably hides the most fragile, vulnerable feelings locked deep inside her heart. As if spotting something, Li Yunzi suddenly channels her strength and leaps high into the air. Her dazed face instantly turns dead serious, and with incredibly high martial skill, she easily catches a silver thread floating right before her eyes. Seeing the object in her hand, Zhu Minglang cannot help but speak up. He actually has some clues about this already, but he keeps quiet, making you wonder what he knows. This string looks exactly like the silver thread on the Manhwa sword in Li Yunzi's hand. She does not hide anything, calmly revealing the true origin of this strange thread. She explains that this is her soul-bound thread, which wrapped around her hand like a thin silk fiber the moment she was born. However, she does not remember its exact purpose, only that her grandmother told her she must recover it one day. Connecting the dots, he suddenly understands. So the divine grace appearing in this Juling city state was actually meant for this thread all along. Li Yunzi finally has the answer she was looking for. Her lips tremble as she speaks, and perhaps thinking of her beautiful mother makes her face soften with a rare, gentle expression. She reveals that her mother is actually a direct descendant of the gods. She used her own musical lute string to nourish and sustain both my life and my soul, thereby passing down her divine power to me. Zhu Minglang does not get overly emotional. Instead, he rubs his chin and gets back to business. If so, the legend of the Earth Dragon Divine Oracle being a descendant of gods is true. But soon, his attention drifts off to something else entirely. He mutters that this means their future children will not have to suffer through those painful trials. She rolls her eyes, giving her husband a deeply judgmental look, thinking his thick skin is getting cheaper by the day. Zhu Minglang does not even notice his wife's cold shoulder, immediately shifting back to his serious analysis mode. He wonders aloud if gods truly exist on this Juding continent, because he still cannot wrap his head around it. Li Yunzi shakes her head, explaining that they certainly exist, but humans just do not understand or interact with them. Thinking of the shadow manipulator pulling all the strings, she shares her deep thoughts. The changing world is mostly moving according to the direct will of the gods. Honestly, it is not just this. Her own origin and the very creation of the Dragon Gate are things she still cannot fathom at all. Li Yunzi looks at him, suggesting that perhaps these massive secrets are hidden all around them, waiting to be uncovered step by step. Just when they're deep in talk, his eyes catch something else. Check out that weird statue over there, Li Yunzi. She naturally turns her gaze to look at it. This style of worship seems to be extremely rare. It is unusual because these people did not just sculpt the grand deity they worship. They also added a second statue showing a devoted believer kneeling respectfully right at the god's feet. Zhu Minglang narrows his eyes, sharply noticing some strange inscriptions carved right onto the pedestal. There seems to be some writing under the statue. He turns and suggests they go closer to read what is written on it. As they approach, Li Yunzi finds herself completely baffled by the ancient script, wondering how they are supposed to read this. She asks if he can make sense of it. Luckily, Zhu Minglang's vast knowledge allows him to translate the text. The text states that every single star in the night sky represents a god, and the brighter the star, the stronger that deity is. His hand reaches out to touch the carvings, tracing the ancient letters to peer back into the distant past. It records millions of cultivators flowing like streams, ultimately gathering at one single destination, the legendary Dragon Gate. The Dragon Gate selects the most powerful gods from various realms, and for every new god arising on the continent, the light of their civilization upgrades to a higher tier. For every newly crowned deity, their divine glow will be reflected across the vast heavens. Reading up to this point, Zhu Minglang cannot help but smirk skeptically. If one star equals one deity, then how many gods actually exist in this world? This just does not seem very realistic. Otherwise, he says they would probably bump into fallen immortals just by walking down the street. But then, a sudden spark of realization hits him, and he loudly points out the main message of this entire epic. Wait a second. If the text is right, then the Dragon Gate is actually the gate of new gods. Li Yunzi remains skeptical, arguing that the credibility of these ancient inscriptions is still very hard to say. If the Dragon Gate really is the path to godhood, then the super powerful experts close to godhood on this continent should have the answers if they ever crossed it. But Zhu Minglang seems to have figured something out, suddenly standing up with absolute confidence. Honestly, this whole theory about turning into stars when becoming a god is actually pretty neat. He gently takes her hand, speaking in an incredibly soft voice to deliver some seriously cheesy lines. If I ever become a god, and we have to be apart, you can just look up at the star named after me in the sky, and know that I am right there with you. Honestly, even Zhu Minglang himself feels a bit embarrassed after letting those cheesy words slip out of his mouth. Saying it out loud is pretty awkward, but they are husband and wife, so what is there to really be shy about? Li Yunzi shyly leans into his chest, whispering, I know you will always be my rock, thank you. Zhu Minglang gently pats her back. Comforting her, he softly says, if you are tired, get some rest. I will stay right here beside you. She actually rests her head on his shoulder and falls asleep, leaving him wide awake, realizing it has been a pretty long time since he last held his wife like this. But barely any time passes before her lips twitch as if she is waking up. This makes no sense. He looks down in surprise and asks, awake already? Oh man, but the one waking up is actually Tin Huar, who shyly points out how incredibly close they are. Young master, your hand holding a different soul makes him flinch a bit in instant panic. Oh no, his wife just turned back into his sister-in-law Tin Huar. They scramble apart, and Zhu Minglang awkwardly clears his throat. To quickly break the extremely awkward silence, she turns away and immediately changes the subject. Did you receive the god grace, young master? He nods, answering honestly, yes, I got a ghost pearl and a dragon elixir. Tin Huar cannot hide the pure admiration in her eyes, immediately showering him with high praise. That grace must be the ticket to the Dragon Gate. Congrats, master, you are officially the first candidate for godhood. Zhu Minglang humbly scratches his head, muttering, is that really true? I can barely believe it myself. She smiles warmly, believing it or not does not matter, as long as you keep doing your best and stay safe. Her sweet words instantly soothe his heavily stressed mind. Yeah, she is right. Tin Huar might rarely wake up, but she is far from clueless. Her eyes dim as she remembers seeing him covered in wounds inside her dream. Remembering that awful vision, she cannot help but feel deeply worried for him. I have been so anxious lately, constantly trying to divine a much better outcome for you. But the ancient ruins' power blocked my vision of the future. Hopefully, that divine grace helps. They do not stay in that middle-of-nowhere place for long and quickly head back to Zhu Minglang's estate. He lets out a huge, exhausted yawn, stretching his arms and sighing. Finally finished with that major task. Time to get some good sleep. Sensing the mood, Tin Huar politely takes her leave. I will head back to my room now, master. The second Zhu Minglang steps inside, Bai Qi excitedly runs out to welcome him. You, the beast and master immediately cuddle up after being apart for so long. Little Bai Qi, long time no see. He rubs its head affectionately, asking about its progress lately. I let you out of the spiritual realm a few days ago. Looks like you have not touched your dragon food yet. What have you been eating? It proudly gestures to the moonlight. This highly abstract diet leaves him incredibly confused. Wait, are you seriously eating stuff made of moonlight? Not annoyed at all, Bai Qi gently walks over to its cushion, as if saying, just watch and see. Just look at this as it curls up comfortably. Its entire body begins emitting a soft, bright glow of pure moonlight. Seeing the glowing blue threads connecting all over its body, Zhu Minglang gasps in amazement. Wow, it really is doing that. He pictures the image of Bai Qi shining brilliantly under the moon. While many creatures can absorb the essence of moonlight, a young beast like little Bai Qi forming a special resonance with the moon deity implies its future potential is absolutely limitless. But thinking about the costs, Zhu Minglang literally wants to cry over his dying wallet. It is so tiny, yet eats such extremely expensive, high-grade stuff. A 3 million gold eclipse treat is literally just a single snack to this guy. Even a king-tier phoenix feather is merely a casual treat, and the little glutton shows absolutely no signs of getting full. I seriously cannot afford raising this beast. But since raw strength is everything, he makes a decision without a shred of hesitation. It seems the ghost pearl boosted its absorption, pushing its soul pretty close to the Dragon King tier now. But to make its physical body grow, he needs massive amounts of resources, meaning his only option is to go home for help. Act on it the next morning at first light, he heads straight to the truck mansion. Kang Lam immediately walks out to greet him, asking with the utmost respect, "Young master, what do you need? Our entire Zhu Gate will absolutely do everything to help, so you must treat us like your own family. After all, if not for you, young master, how could we ever enjoy such high reputation here in the imperial capital?" Hearing this, Zhu Minglang drops the act. "Fine, then I will just say exactly what I want." Looking at the pathetic pile of glazed tiles, he tosses his jade token down. "Move it," he orders. "Do absolutely everything to gather those glazed tiles. Send out my decree. Any branch court that secures a glazed tile for me, Zhu Minglang, can send someone to the inner court to claim an official post." Hearing this wild demand, Jinglin interrupts, looking quite flustered. He mutters that inner court positions are always decided by elders. Hearing this, Zhu Minglang's expression instantly darkens. "Oh really, is it that hard?" He scoffs and turns to leave, throwing out a pretty cold warning. "Well, then we do not need to act so close from now on. I only asked for a few million gold, yet I have to get paid in installments. It really disgraces my fake dragon herder master identity." Panicking at the threat, Jinglin instantly takes the bait and rushes over to flatter him. "Fine, I will talk to the elders. Please do not be so angry, young master. We can negotiate anything. The sect master actually cares for you deeply. He simply wanted to test and temper your mind." Zhu Minglang got his way, but he still plays tough, crossing his arms to intimidate him. "Just make sure what I want is ready right on time. Is that clear?" Jinglin clasps his hands, acting more like a servant as he flatters him endlessly. "Do not worry. Since you crushed all those rivals this time, we absolutely must prepare a grand gift to honor your success." Having successfully secured the resources here, he smirks. Let us be honest, he is already looking for the next place to plunder. Now that the Zhu Gate is handled, maybe it is time to ask my prophet's sister-in-law where the real treasures are hidden. Back at his residence, Zhu Minglang unexpectedly runs into Nan Lingsha. Not realizing it is her, he taps her shoulder and asks with a grin. He asks where Miss Yusha and Miss Xinghua are because he has business with them, but Nan Lingsha instantly spins around, warning him that next time his blood will spill. Zhu Minglang panics, realizing his mistake. "Oh, is that really you, Nan Lingsha?" "My apologies," he stammers, then asks why she suddenly returned, explaining that he searched for her in the city-state for ages. Nan Lingsha explains that she took a trip to the ancient mountain because Miss Xinghua divined there was a grand treasure waiting. This gets Zhu Minglang highly excited. He says he was just about to ask her too, so since they have a clear direction, they should team up and set out together. Without even turning, Nan Lingsha tells him to follow. No hesitation, he agrees instantly. Meanwhile, on the Juding continent to the far east, a massive crowd performs a sacred ritual inside the temple. Zhao Yuan watches the thick smoke, completely lost in deep thought. He frowns. Despite offering sacrifices multiple times, the gods remain dead silent. Perhaps they have completely abandoned us. Wu Feng quietly tries to calm him down. The Juding continent has never seen a god appear, so maybe they only exist in myths. If praying brings no results, perhaps it is best to just let it go. He boldly presses on, stating that despite having no divine protection for all these years, Juting has still managed to remain incredibly powerful. "Silence!" Zhao Yuan roars, calling him insolent and warning that mortals have no right to debate the gods. With the Longmen Gate now open, our unprotected continent is like a lamb for the slaughter. We will not survive long. Realizing his massive blunder, Wu Feng quickly drops to his knees, begging the emperor to forgive his utter ignorance and foolish words. Instead of blowing up, Zhao Yuan simply dismisses them, noting that the future is impossible to predict before deciding to meet this foreign deity himself. As his ministers leave, he walks alone toward the void sea. Suddenly, Zhao Yuan freezes in his tracks. Wait, out of absolutely nowhere, a giant staircase appears, leading straight into the sky. Where could it possibly lead? Zhao Yuan gazes up along the path, catching a glimpse of a faint, mysterious figure shrouded deep within the clouds. Following the misty bridge upward, he can only gasp in shock, wondering if this grand entity is truly a god. Looking down from above, Hua Chao, the Tianshu star god, demands to know who he is and the name of his land. Instantly, Zhao Yuan loses all imperial dignity. Bowing low with his hands clasped, he humbly replies that his name is Zhao Yuan. He adds that their home is called the Jiuding continent. Hua Chou then glances at a distant floating island and chuckles at the new arrival. From across the sky, Hongjing clasps his hands respectfully, announcing himself as the emperor of the Shengqi continent before greeting the great deity. Standing high above, Hua Chou gazes down at these two tiny figures, stating that since they are both the supreme rulers of their respective worlds, he pauses. With a wicked grin, he demands they kneel so he can step on the back of their heads. Only then can their lands pass. Zero hesitation. Zhao Yuan drops to his knees and obeys. Hongjing stares at him in sheer disbelief, stunned that a fellow ruler could lower himself so easily. Hua Chou coldly notes his hesitation. Panic-stricken, Hongjing quickly drops to his knees too, but the ruthless god refuses to give him a second chance. With a wicked look on his face, Hua Chou lifts his leg, saying that it is fine because the billions of resentful souls on this continent will criticize you instead. His massive foot stamps straight down toward the Shengqi continent. With a massive boom, the entire vast continent explodes into countless fragments. As debris flies everywhere, Zhao Yuan looks toward his continent with a face pale as ash. Hua Chu steps on his head, leaving him to choose between utter humiliation or complete destruction. He breaks into a cold sweat. Refusing humiliation is the pride of these commoners, but he secretly thinks to himself that if he had been even a moment slower, the Jiting continent would have been reduced to dust too. Looking down from above, Hua Chou declares he is Hua Chou, one of the 7-star gods of Tianyu. He says he likes people who show gratitude, and if Jiting survives, they can come worship at his divine territory. He turns away, casually throwing out a warning that since they are so devout, they should be careful at night. Those words make Zhao Yuan widen his eyes in absolute terror, sweat dripping down his face. Over at the ancient mountains of the Lichuan continent, Zhu Minglang and Nan Lingsha watch the shattered land. He wonders what on earth just happened. She speaks up to explain that someone with godlike power probably just crushed the ley line remnants of some continent, so there is nothing to be shocked about. Nan Lingsha points toward the barren, ruined land, asking if he sees the broken mountain ahead, because it is exactly the same. Zhu Minglang points at himself with a dumbfounded look and says he sees it, but he actually did that. He remembers when he sliced the mountain in half. Back then, when he broke that mountain, it fell all the way from the Jiting continent, landing right here inside the Lichuan border. Nan Lingsha glares at him, asking if this is that clash with a king-class expert he was talking about. Zhu Minglang stammers that it is basically the same. He remembers her asking him back in Runyu City, and how he snapped at her because he did not want her getting involved. Judging by her tone, she is definitely still holding a grudge. Nan Lingsha points toward the distant mountain, saying they should head to that broken peak because it probably has what he wants. Looking in that direction, Zhu Minglang wonders if there is anything special about that broken mountain spirit island. Nan Lingsha stares at the faraway island and says they will find out once they go see. Agreeing, he follows her. At Broken Mountain, seeing giant rocks floating alongside golden spirit energy, she mutters that a view like this is truly worth making a painting of. Zhu Minglang chimes in. This spirit island mountain is truly mystical, so it is no wonder that guy named Ba went completely mad for it. He quickly summons his little spirit. The little guy appears, opening his eyes wide with curiosity to look around as massive flows of spirit energy surge straight toward him. The energy wraps around him and gets completely absorbed. Having taken in enough power, the spirit evolves into a dragon. Zhu Minglang is ecstatic, calling out to his little spirit. He yells that it did not even face a tribulation before transforming, and it already reached the level of a quasi-dragon king. Suddenly, Xinghai appears. You see, the influence of the Dragon Gate is no joke. It allows certain gifted creatures to rapidly increase their power and break through their limits. That truly is the power of a god. Zhu Minglang looks up at him, saying it seems a new continent is about to border theirs. He adds that there are supposedly gods on that continent, but Xinghai does not care, saying they are just star gods and nothing special. Shocked by his calm, Zhu Minglang asks Xinghai if he actually knows about this. He asks what else the old man knows about the gods, and Xinghai leans down to explain. When a god ascends, the heavens reward that territory. Territories with gods develop a massive amount of void mist, which generates an even stronger gravitational force. Countless drifting continents get swept up. That gravity pulls in lands that would normally take tens of thousands of years to meet, essentially giving that god a much larger territory to rule over. Zhu Minglang finally understands and nods, realizing how it works. He asks what else Xinghai knows about the Dragon Gate, but the old man crosses his arms impatiently. He tells him since he already has the entry ticket to the Divine Grace ceremony, He will explain everything once he actually gets inside. Looking down, Zhu Minglang recalls seeing that shattered continent from earlier. He says if there really is a god, then the civilization of that bordering world must be on a much higher level than theirs, since it is basically a divine colony. If so, the old man cuts him off, stating that any god powerful enough to destroy a continent must be one of the seven-star gods. Zhu Minglang asks him to explain what the seven-star gods are. He explains that a god's strength is determined by the brightness of their star shining in the sky. For commoners, the Big Dipper is the most visible, meaning those seven are the most powerful gods in this world. Nan Lingsha suddenly chimes in, asking if they are discussing the seven-star gods. He replies that according to Xinghai, the guy who stomped that other continent might be one of those seven-star gods. Zhu Minglang sneers, not expecting them to be so wicked, wiping out millions with a casual stamp of a foot. Nan Lingsha shrugs and smiles, asking what is so strange about that. Some gods are no better than filthy beasts, and worse yet, plenty of lowlifes use their divine names as an excuse to commit absolute atrocities. Looking out into the distance, an endless, vast ocean stretches before them, completely shrouded in thick mist. Zhu Minglang's eyes widen in sheer shock as a massive, thunderous boom echoes, and a terrifying force slams right into the giant orb before them. Xinghua speaks up, warning that this impact is from colliding continents, but something still feels incredibly off. It does not look like a simple collision. The Juding continent has basically turned into a massive meteor, hurtling straight into another territory. Zhu Minglang panics at the thought, while Nan Lingsha urgently tells them they need to escape the Juding continent right this instant. Even with the Sea of Void and protective mist layers shielding this place, it is not enough. The upcoming impact between the continent and the deity territory is not something our mortal bodies can survive. Zhu Minglang frowns, giving her a sharp look. Did you know about this beforehand because Xinghua told you? Staring off into the horizon, Nan Lingsha admits that she pretty much did, and adds that a massive change is about to unfold here. And look at that, 3 purple light beams shoot up, and 3 masked figures in crimson robes charge out like the wind. Wait, there are people over there? Is crossing the Sea of Void not supposed to be impossible? Plus, they can even fly straight through the raging flames. Sensing an ill omen, Xinghua frowns. Those are people from the deity territory. We should go investigate. The 3 figures touch down, letting out a barrage of wicked laughter. Their leader, Zhu Ye, speaks up with a completely greedy look on his face. I can already smell the filthy lower realm. The treasures and beauties here must be absolutely countless. It is way better than Black Heaven Peak. We need a massive raid here. Zhu Minglang wonders, are they not supposed to be gods? Why do they sound like some cheap mountain bandits? What is their deal anyway? Nan Lingsha replies with a dark expression, they clearly mean trouble. Let us just kill them. He gives a strained smile, being that violent is not good. Let us figure things out first. We can chase them down. They immediately take off on their swords, and here is where things are about to get really messy. Zhu Ye stares at the massive statue in the city center with pure lust, so this woman is the protector of this land. What a rare prize. She belongs to me now. The woman behind him, Yang Huan, scowls and tells him to stop fooling around and focus on their main mission first. Staring up at Li Yunzi's statue, Yang Huan grows furious, focusing her power right into her fingertips. It disgusts her that a filthy lower realm would have such a pure, otherworldly beauty. With a flick of her hand, she fires a destructive beam, shattering the statue to pieces, while the citizens below gasp in utter shock. Zhu Minglang is absolutely furious. How dare she speak so rudely about Li Yunzi and destroy her monument? Nan Lingsha does not waste a single breath, immediately launching an attack. You destroyed my sister's statue. Prepare to die. Her strike cuts through the air like a gale, but it only manages to tear Yang Huan's robe. The villainess scowls, calling her a filthy brat for launching a surprise attack. But deep down, she is terrified that this girl actually damaged her Tao of extreme desire. He stands there with his jaw dropped. Who knew his sister-in-law cared so deeply about his wife? Zhu Minglang, you better step it up and not let your sister-in-law outshine you. The 2 sides square off as their leader, Zhu Ye, smirks. Do not be angry, little beauty. We are noble cultivators of the Black Heaven deity territory. Mortal deities just like you. Xinghua crosses her arms in disgust, recognizing them as vile practitioners of the Tao of extreme desire, which Zhu Minglang knows relies heavily on slaughter and lust. She explains that by constantly indulging in your basest, most primal desires, you can boost your cultivation and reach much higher realms. For them, it means endless, brutal slaughter. Murder enough people, and you solidify your path. Same goes for other desires. Zhu Ye then turns to Nan Lingsha with a sleazy grin. If you want to learn about our deity territory, pretty lady, we can talk all night long. I will make sure to open your eyes. Yang Huan snaps at him, demanding to know what he is doing and warning him not to ruin their major mission, but he only smirks. You guys focus on your slaughter while I practice my lust. We are not getting in each other's way. Hong Zhen, who has been standing by silently, finally loses his patience enough. My thirst for blood is getting unbearable. I need to kill right now. With those words, he summons his vicious weapon into his hands. Yang Huan chimes in, agreeing that these lower realm humans live such filthy, mediocre lives, yet they look so content, which is honestly disgusting. With that, they charge forward like lightning, screaming about their absolute urge to slaughter everyone. Seeing them head for the city, Zhu Minglang shouts to Nan Lingsha that if they get inside, it will be a bloodbath, so they must split up to stop Zhu Ye. Nan Lingsha nods in agreement, and Zhu Minglang immediately dives down to give his dragon a command. Mo Shi, stop that crazy woman, he orders, and the sword spirit gladly agrees. Meanwhile, Zhu Ye licks his lips hungrily, drooling as he watches them. Who knew a beauty like you actually had backup? Too bad my friend's desires are just as extreme as mine. Your little man is going to be ripped to shreds until nothing remains. Nan Lingsha's face is scary, dark, truly frightening. She raises her brush as a massive, swirling wave of raw power erupts from it. With a wave of her hand, countless bone monsters appear. Far from terrified, Chu Yet actually gets incredibly excited. Talk about a fiery temper. He laughs, I like it. Spouting trash, he grabs the heads of two bone monsters. She merely snorts in disdain. And watch this giant claws suddenly emerge from the void to grab Chu Yet. He screams out in sheer panic, what kind of trick is this? Flicking her brush, she calmly replies, I learned this move from that pale-faced guy. So consider it a gift. Chu Yet is genuinely terrified now, tearfully begging beautiful lady, I was wrong. Nan Lingsha remains cold, telling him to go explain it to the ghosts. Meanwhile, deep inside the city, Hong Trin is stepping on a crying woman. He shows absolutely no mercy as she frantically screams out for help. He laughs maniacally, lower world trash. The louder you scream for help, the more excited I get. Folding his arms, Zhu Minglang suddenly appears right behind Hong Trin. He muses that it is pathetic to see cultivators practicing such low-grade slaughter. Spinning around instantly, Hong Trin snarls in rage, who are you? How do you have the guts to mock my supreme path of slaughter? Squinting with a smirk, Zhu Minglang replies, who I am does not matter. What matters is that my path is vastly more noble. Resting his broadsword on his shoulder, Hong Trin pretends to be intrigued. Who knew this lower world had another cultivator of extreme desires? What is your path? Placing a hand on his hip, Zhu Minglang steps closer and declares justice. Hearing this, Hong Trin instantly flies into a furious rage. Screw you, he spits, are you playing with me? There is no justice in desires. Zhu Minglang tilts his head, that is because your cultivation is too low. Once you arrive in hell, you can take your sweet time to understand it. Right behind him, the terrifying, murderous Thien Sot manifests. Hong Trin stutters in absolute horror. This is a Dragon King. The roaring, blazing power of Thien Sot slowly begins to wrap around him. Casually, Zhu Minglang remarks extreme desire means extreme sin. Since you chose this path, you should know that out of the 18 levels of hell, the 7th floor is the Mountain of Knives. It is specially reserved for cold-blooded killers who slaughter innocent people just like you. Fierce flames relentlessly consume his flesh. Tears of pure agony begin to stream down Hong Trin's face as he burns. Staring at the glowing red form of Thien Sot, Zhu Minglang's cold voice echoes, my dragon is going to give you a little preview of what hell feels like. Hong Trin screams in utter agony as the blazing fire completely engulfs his body. With a desperate shriek, more than half of his body sinks into the earth. His face is completely twisted with terror. Clawing desperately at the dirt, he tries to cling to his very last shred of hope, repeatedly whimpering, please, just spare my life.